Well, welcome everybody. We've got an absolutely packed show. Welcome to our 50th show of Sense for You. 4 months have gone in a flash. Let's hope the series doesn't go in a flash or go in with a bang. We've waited so long, it feels. We've had the trailers, the interviews, the marketing, the hype, the arguments, the specials. So are you ready? Are you really ready? Do you want to come with me? Tonight, we have the debate about what Doctor Who needs to do to survive. We debate the sonic screwdriver nonsense. Yes, well, why not? Why can't we join in? In fact, we'll start with that. We show you our visit to Dwas capital in the Midlands, UK. There's a lovely little video item. We look at some of Russell T Davies's killer quotes. We discuss our expectations, our dreads, and our hopes for the new season. And we have the news to discuss later on. I'll give you timings as we go. Okay, so if you bear with us, folks, I'll bring on our friends. So let's have a look. Of course, he will be reading. He always is reading. There he is. Look at him. Look at him. But nobody's looking at what book he's reading. We're all looking at actually who's his fellow there. In fact, I'll make him go large. Look at this, folks. There's Jeremy. He lives in a kennel. Oh, sorry. He lives with K9. And there he is. Has he given you any feedback yet on what to say?
Not yet. He's keeping silent at the moment. He's going to let me do most of the speaking. I think he's got laryngitis.
Oh, not that one again. Well, we don't want him to have them. Have you got any wolf weeds there or anything?
I'm free of weeds.
So there you go, folks. Jeremy, master fan there, so to speak. Who else do we bring on? Of course, we've got Rachael. Chat about it. Don't shout about it. Hiya.
Hi, you all right?
Yeah. Now you've been busy on your channel, haven't you, as well?
Very busy.
Do you want to tell people very quickly some of your topics that you've been discussing?
Oh my goodness. Spicy stuff, as per normal. Laughed at a funny TikTok of a I think it was staged, but of a policeman getting clamped by a traffic warden. That was great. And and the Kyle Smith, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch the video. It was quite funny. And Doctor Who.
And we had a Doctor Who video. Go and see it because we discussed, didn't we, how to save Doctor Who and which villain would do it. We discussed, didn't we?
Yeah, that was our first installment, and we have 2 more installments after that.
We do. And you schedule them for Mondays, I think, don't you?
No, actually, one of them's going to be out on the 8th, I think, and the other one's going to be out on the 10th. But it's all set as premiere, so you'll see it.
And Archibald Lazarus has just said, loved your shooty racism video.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I saw your comment in the chat. So thank you.
There you go. And hello, Sean. How are you?
Good, thanks, Brendan and everyone. Good to be back.
Yes, I know. We're all in a good mood, I think, because it's around it's like Christmas Eve-ish, isn't it, for Doctor Who fans?
Shows.
And we're joined by Cinnamon. Hello.
Yes, roll out the red carpet. I have returned. I'm glad to be back with you all.
We've decorated. Do you like it? No, sorry. I mean, I'll have to do that every week. I think it's important.
Brendan,
right.
I think we should apologise for the sheer lack of diversity in accents this week. We really need to apologise. It's not very diverse. I've got to apologise straight from the off.
It's getting out.
Do you want me to start talking more like that, which is my more native accent?
Yeah, right. So Rachel's going to do 1,000 voices like Dick Emery or something, and so we'll cover every angle. Right. Okay, folks. I think there's a lot to discuss, and we've got plenty to kind of dive into. So here we go with my first one. Okay. Well, do you know, it is 50 years since the Planet of the Spiders, and I actually thought, who's the great one we're talking about? It's not that spider there, it's RTD, isn't it? He thinks he's the great one. And so I thought we'd have a quick look at 1 or 2 killer quotes of his that have actually caught our eye, and of course, the sonic screwdriver nonsense. So, just to kind of warm you up, we'll discuss this later on, folks, so do stick around. We're not shying away from this. Did all the Doctor Who fans here realise that the Doctor's never been straight? Okay, that one, we'll visit that one later. So there's one lovely killer quote, of course. Davros Gate, we know that one. You can't have evil wheelchair users anymore. And the one I want to discuss today is, of course, So sonic screwdriver, and it's been redesigned. And of course, it's been redesigned because Russell T Davies thinks kids will tend to shoot at one another, and obviously he doesn't want that. So, how is everybody feeling about RTD going into all the minutiae of Doctor Who to this point?
Yeah. I think he should keep silent.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wish they'd just get rid of the space junk on
Is
this
he a Doctor Who
screwdriver.
Mary Whitehouse?
He's turned into his own Mary Whitehouse. I agree. I mean, we don't need Mary Whitehouse. We've got RTD with a kind of mentality that somehow we can't offend kids, we can't upset kids. But Doctor Who's always meant to.
Watch out!
You see, there's one thing I want to say here. It might be a bit inappropriate, but I always thought Jodie's one looked like a dildo. That's what I always thought. I just could never take it seriously.
Oh, right. So thank you for being on my. Thanks for being on my 50th show. It's been good. Bye, everyone. But just before I get everyone's comments, because I have to say I am getting irritated by this, because he just seems to be. I thought he was the custodian of Doctor Who rather than the vandal and the wrecker of Doctor Who. It came up in Fury from the Deep, didn't it? That was when you first saw it, and even the cartoons got it right, and cartoons don't always get it right. It's like a pen, and then of course, you know, you've seen it. I've been taking the mick all week. If anyone's seen me on Twitter, you know, the Sonic scrap heap. I've just enjoyed myself, and yeah. Don't they all look like guns? I mean, look at them. Look at them. They look so lethal and dangerous and threatening.
I mean, you can see the trigger and everything. I mean, it doesn't look terrifying.
Yeah, and what gets me about all this?
I'm quick in here. I'm riddled with anxiety looking at it.
But the thing is, he makes it sound as though this sonic screwdriver is being used like it's some sort of dangerous weapon, when it is under RTD, Chibnall and Moffat. It's been waved around like a wand and used in a slightly different way to look a bit more like a weapon, as in, because they wave it differently. They used to hold it differently before. So the whole point is they've created this problem, and now they're saying they're going to solve it by actually just redesigning it in a very, very stupid way. But it's just this kind of, we don't want to offend. We don't want kids shooting each other, as in play fighting.
But then why can't they go from that back to that?
Yeah, well, exactly. Why can't they just hold it differently like that?
It's just such a strange thing to, you know, if you don't want to offend anyone, well, don't say anything. It's the only way. There's how many 7 billion people on the planet? Pretty sure something you say is not going to be agreed by at least one person. So if you try and, you know, appease all, it's not going to help anybody. But I mean, as for the whole screwdriver thing, it feels a bit like a bit of a joke now. Like, are they just trying to, like, is it like they think, oh, what can we say now until somebody catches us out and figures out we're taking the mick? I don't know.
The easiest way to deal with it is just to get rid of it.
Right, now he's got one in his hand. Hold on.
He's got such a problem with it.
Sorry, Jeremy, I cut Jeremy off.
This was, you know, it's literally, this was made not that long before. You know, he made this Sonic, then he made this clicker, Adam Sandler's the clicker version. You know, baffles me.
I know, Jeremy. Go on. I'll show it big time. Go on then.
Well, 50 years ago, when I was a kid, I would have loved one of these, but there wasn't one around because they weren't making them. But to me, I never considered it as a gun. It's just a sonic screwdriver, and that's about it.
Well, and this is the point. It was a plot device. It was a plot device so that you didn't have the Doctor stuck in a prison or behind a door for ages. That was all it was. Yeah. JNT, and people slag off JNT an awful lot, but sometimes unfairly. The JNT, as you know, got rid of the sonic screwdriver with the pterodactyls, Visitation, episode 3, because he didn't want lazy writing. And now, since New Who, we've had them waving it like a Harry Potter wand. Lazy writing. What happened in Star Beast? It created force fields, it created shields, it did crazy stuff. I mean, honestly, it's an overuse of a piece of machinery that was just there as a kind of bit of miscellany, really. What gets me now, though, is
It was never used.
but as a football fan, my analogy is this: you fleece the fans every year, especially the kids, because you actually have an away strip, sometimes 2 away strips, sometimes 2 home strips, and you fleece the kids and the parents for all the money you can get off them because of their passion for a football club. And what's Doctor Who doing? Doctor Who is creating one screwdriver per doctor per season to actually screw the fans more and more. This is a commercial weapon, never mind a lethal weapon, RTD. And RTD's been part of this. He knows what he's doing. We could have had one of the old-fashioned sonic screwdrivers doing sonic stuff, screwdriver stuff, and that's it. But oh no, we've had to go further.
This whole issue, because let's face it, let's like not to completely derail the stream straight away, but let's just cut through the old something cake and let's get to it. All these daft little issues, it's just to distract us from the fact that personally I think the quality of this new series is going to be awful. And the fact that you're now talking about the issue of guns and Doctor Who, it's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah,
who are you talking to? We haven't got them. What are you? What you know? I can't. It's just your dad, as your dad ever said to you, you can't argue with stupid. Well, you can't argue with stupid.
Yeah.
And it changes everything.
You can't, no, and that's a fantastic. You say that, it's a great quote, because I heard it earlier saying you can't argue with stupid people because they've got more practice than you based on experience. It's ridiculous. It's completely dumbfounded. And the whole point of the show is that the Doctor never carries guns. If you're a fan, you'd know that. It was never once used as a weapon anywhere. Again, anyone with remotely a brain would know that the Doctor is anti-violence, pacifist, within reason. He doesn't use guns. So in what way? I mean, do people not watch? Is Russell not aware of Star Wars and lightsabers that cut through people?
But this is what's irritating me. Doctor Who is a great British franchise, as is the one I'm showing you on the screen now, James Bond. Can you imagine if RTD had been in charge of James Bond and decided it needed changing? You objectify the James Bond, tight figure hugging outfits, maybe in his undies, not an awful lot more, but in inappropriate times. He wouldn't have a gun. He wouldn't necessarily have a female Bond girl because that's sexist. So we might have a Bond them. And all of a sudden, you wouldn't have any evil wheelchair villains. And all of a sudden, can you imagine? He would destroy the franchise of James Bond. But of course, people are saying, no, but that's for adults. But for kids, we do... Let's change everything. Let's make it sexual. Let's make it figure hugging. And it makes no sense. So the argument for saying don't do it to James Bond should apply to Doctor Who so easily. That's you're holding a gun.
They've already done it to James Bond. They've already done it. Look at No Time to Die. And don't get me on that because I'll be here hours, but they've already done it. That was a James Bond film where Bond doesn't act like Bond and then dies. Spoilers. It's awful. If you haven't seen it, don't bother. Just don't.
I'm a James Bond fan, and I've not seen it because.
Oh, please do. Honestly, Jeremy, seriously, I'm a film reviewer, right? For anyone who doesn't know, I would usually never tell people not to watch something, but dear God, Jeremy, honestly, just don't. It'll just hurt. It'll just upset you. Just don't do it to yourself.
Well, the other thing is, since RTD is so obsessed with the sonic screwdriver, I think we're going to have to ban BBC's DIY SOS. We're going to have to take off the air anybody with a handy screwdriver because they are lethal weapons and we shouldn't be showing kids on daytime TV. And we'll have to get rid of anybody who's got a screwdriver in their hand. I mean, you can hold it how you want. Look at all these women holding it how they're blooming want. RTD is finding that so problematic.
Yeah,
she's got two.
All right. I mean, you've got Janet Jackson on there.
If we hadn't had the classic sonic screwdriver, we wouldn't have had that wonderful pose with John Pertwee in Carnival of Monsters. It's quite iconic. It's a shame that Russell T Davies wants to call this a gun. Ridiculous.
It's always been.
And it's like Rachel just said there. We've got UNIT as well. So what's his problem with UNIT? Like Rachel just said, exactly. It seems. I get it because Russell's stance with guns in the past has been made clear. For example, whenever we'd see a character hold a gun, like we did with the captain, was it in Voyage of the Damned, and he shoots the assistant. We don't actually see, like him actually falling over. We just sort of see the gunfire. We don't see too much blood or anything like that. Although actually, he did have blood in that episode, didn't he? On his shirt. So yeah, it's just silly. It's just silly.
It's always been the antithesis of a gun, the sonic screwdriver. So like a good example in New Who, which is what I mainly know, is like in the Doctor Dances or the Empty Child, where you have Captain Jack with his gun, and the Doctor switches it for a banana, and he's destroyed the gardens, the villain garden, all that kind of thing. The factory villain garden, sorry. So it's always been like the opposite to a gun. That was the big joke. That what is it? A blaster, a disruptor, and he's like, it's a screwdriver. What? Never had a long night, never had a lot of cabinets to put up. That was always the joke.
Rachel?
The main demographic of the show is children, right? So why don't they just ask kids what they think?
Oh gosh, lethal wet. He used to do that with Blue Peter, but we got the absorbable off, so maybe best not. Don't ask.
Tastes like.
Yeah. I know what you mean, though, Rachel. I know what you mean, but yes, we did get the absorbable off the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, we all feel the same. I haven't met a Doctor Who fan who's been happy with this sonic screwdriver nonsense, but I just thought it was important that we kind of out it, and I will keep coming up with any more killer quotes from the Great One, because oh God, he's full of them, isn't he?
Praise Almighty.
So we do our news, as you know, later, but we have a lead news item which we will obviously, hence the title, lead news item, start with now, and because we can't afford to leave it. But before we do actually go diving into it, I can see people have come from Rabbi's channel and other places. Welcome. Lovely to see you. I should be on Rabbi's soon as well. So that's how you can contact us. There's various ways. The Sense Sphere tries to have a sense of perspective, sense of fun. This is our 50th show. So thank you for joining us. But basically, the lead news item wasn't that one. Let me just pull back. Pull back, Noble. Pull back. Reverse. Can you hear screeching, everybody? Screech, alert. It's a bit further on. The item I wanted to talk about was the good old Shooty charm offensive after Shooty shooting his mouth off last week, which, as you know, didn't go down very well. And so let's start with what he was trying to say to make amends. Here we go. I see how protective you lot are on social media. I see it. Me and Millie had this conversation in the cast tent the other day about how protective you guys are. And it's really not unnoticed. It's very noticed. And we love you for it. Oh, there you go. Are you feeling the love?
No. Said that a bit louder than I
I
meant
don't
to.
think
Sorry.
he's talking about us, do you?
No.
No.
Damage controls, maybe somewhat. Somewhat, I say.
I can't help the way it starts. I see how protective you lot. Like maybe it's just the way I read it. I don't know why not just tell us how amazing this series is going to be. I am yet to see anything where they say this is going to be amazing. Doctor Who back at its peak. It's all just non-issues made into issues, and we don't want to be talking about this. This is something like the people in the chat, and people listening, we don't want to be talking about this. We'd rather be on here talking about how amazing the trailers are. And because I watched a clip earlier of the butterfly effect, and I watched that scene, and I was like, oh, that's actually a decent scene. And you get a little bit excited, and then you click on Twitter or whatever. I mean, you can stay off them, of course, but you look on and you see something like this, or some daft comment, and you think, oh God, never mind. It just kills any enthusiasm you've got.
I will say, and I agree with you, Crimpline. It was on YouTube. It's a few minutes, isn't it? There's a few clips of the program, and he does say this about, we've noticed how protective ear and everything. And I think it does what it's meant to do. It's just that the context was so strong and graphic and raw. I'm not quite sure if that kind of pulls it back. But I do agree with you, Crimpline. He does seem to care in the video. The trouble is, I'm cynical now. He's an actor. And, yes, was he given those lines? He delivers them well. What can I say? My trouble was, as in for most Doctor Who fans, is we had a whole load of spiel before then on some of the things he has been saying. And where do you start? I mean, try and start with this. When he was in Attitude magazine, he talks about the racism and the white mediocrity. We all know he used a racial slur that we won't repeat on this channel because we are careful, unlike other people like him. But basically, he talked about white mediocrity. Do you know what made me think when he mentioned that? I know not every stream in the world's mentioned it, but it's worth really sometimes poring over. When he talked about white mediocrity and black people have to be flawless in media, it almost could be a dig at the Doctor Who previous Doctors. It could almost be. It could be taken so many ways. It's such a careless comment. So we had that, as you know. We've had him talking about microaggressions and to get on, black people have to work harder. As you know, you all have to go and touch grass if you're not liking what's going on. Yeah. He then took on the government. He then talked about his own internalized homophobia, and then he talked about I'm to all you dammers out there, I'm going nowhere, and the program regenerates, just get with it. And hence why we get to that. And it's just whether it balances it out. Now I heard from Rachel, you're saying it doesn't.
I don't think so. It's just like there was so much said. And, I know that you can like take articles and you can take things out of context and this, that, and the other, yada, yada. But the powers that be really should have put a stop to those articles, or at least put a stop to some of the content within the articles. And they didn't. And then this comes shortly after that, which means that the BBC perhaps have been paying attention and think maybe that it's a good idea to perhaps put this out, but it's the phrasing of it as well. It's not quite right. It's not quite there.
Yeah, and look, so that's where we are with him, and please join in with various stuff. But because this item is all about representation, it's all about he was talking about representation, and we're all guessing he has to say this to push it back and say, actually, we do like you fans a bit. But of course, RTD has also been saying an awful lot about representation. And in some ways, if you take it on the surface, he sounds as though he's just saying, I want to open doors for everyone, as it says at the top there. I mix with these people. I'm surrounded by these people. I love these people. So that's who I write for. And you go, on the surface, that looks all wonderful. Can't knock it, really. But he keeps talking. And so I wanted to mention this one. So we've had the sonic screwdriver remolding. We've got Shooty not apologizing, but Shooty kind of saying, I do like you fans, even after saying a lot of us are in another camp. And now we've got this one. And I'm not going to dismiss this one because this is up to nonsense. And I just want to say again, is this another killer quote from the great one? Because honestly, can I ask the Doctor Who fans here? I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, not really truly a fan of the show. Okay, he's made him gay, he's saying, get with it. And then to argue, because that was Shooty at the top, RTD backs him up and says, they weren't exactly the straightest men in the past. They had queer energy. And I'm thinking, Peter Davison, Chris Eccleston, Colin Baker, has anyone told them?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but can I just comment on this? This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the other things you can sort of look at and think, okay, that's his opinion, but this is just, I mean, to this point, I feel like anyone that has a problem or I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not straight white man playing this character, you're not really a true fan of the show. And to that, I can understand because, yeah, I don't think whether you're gay, straight, whatever you are, if you can play the Doctor, you can play the Doctor. If you've got the chops to play it, then that's what matters. Sexuality shouldn't be important in this situation. But I take great issue with this statement that, oh well, no, it's not exactly as if my previous doctors in the past have been not exactly straight. But really, what big gruff northerner Christopher Eccleston played a gay, did he? And it's the thing is if you live in a certain worldview, then and like everything, and this is all across the board. Again, and if you're we've said it before, if you're an activist, if you're a disability activist, every sort of active representation, you're going to say, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. Everything you see, if you go into the world with a certain mindset, you're gonna. They call it confirmation bias, don't they? Where you see what you want to see. So if Russell T Davies can't sit through an episode of Doctor Who without listening to the Doctor and think, oh, I'm getting some sort of energy, I won't say the word because I know some people find it offensive, the Q word. But it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. It's being an optimist. It's being a hopeful optimist. Someone who wants to do good in the world. Someone who wants to see the best in the world. Does that mean you're gay? Does it? And I know some smart ass will come at me and say, "Oh well, gay does mean happy." Well, that's a different definition of the word. That's not this meaning. It frustrates me because you get comments like these, and they just don't help themselves, and then they wonder why they get the backlash they do when they come out with utter nonsense. I mean, it's baffling.
If he wants to change the Doctor, just say so, but don't say he's always been non-straight. That's not true. I mean, David Tennant's Doctor was kissing everybody in sight, and I tended to notice they were mostly females. He really wanted Rose. Come on, stop rewriting history. I think he said that partly because obviously the two paragraphs are right next to each other. Shooty was saying, I feel like that anyone who has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, you're not really truly a fan. And I think to back him up, Davies moves in and says he was never the straightest man in the past, which actually any Doctor Who fan knows is a load of nonsense. But I think he was trying to help Shooty out there. I personally think.
Probably, yeah. He jumped in the bandwagon, and we see it from midnight. One person says something. Oh yeah, I see it too. Don't say again. Like Shooty's comment. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a gay person playing the Doctor, but to sort of then jump on the bandwagon, sort of big up your mate by saying, oh well, he's not as if he's always been the straightest man in the past. Well, I mean, coming from the same person who wrote the whole Rose and Ten thing, the whole Martha and Ten thing, and then I had to carefully reiterate that no, with Donna, we're just mates. Okay, whatever, mate.
You just want to mate. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But I mean, just to comment on what you were saying about how you see the world, Cinnamon, like in general, I try in my podcast to stay away from statements, but I've just been thinking that if this is the way that you see the world as a person, right, you're entitled to it. Fine, that's not an issue. I don't understand why you're not being positive about it. Because let's break it down in your term, not the way I would term it. Because if you're a good actor, you're a good actor. But you're a young black gay man who's risen to one of what's arguably one of the biggest leading roles on British television. So we're taking you on your merits. I don't understand why this is not portrayed as positive. Why all this negativity? I just don't understand. I really don't get it.
But Sean, and I think it's always important that we are clear on this one and on any platform, that we as Doctor Who fans, I know you all, none of us have an issue with the selection of Shooty. The issue is maybe how it's getting produced or how it's getting written or how the Doctor's being depicted. It's got nothing to do with the choice of the actor. And in a way, I feel sorry for Shooty, feeling as though he's getting got at. But actually, if I was RTD and really looking after him, or I was the team behind Shooty, I would make sure he didn't think it was racism, because it's not. It's actually to do with them. Sorry, Rachel.
No, it's okay. I was literally just going to say, I wouldn't even encourage any of these things that are being said. That glitch that we had from Match of the Day was probably one of the best things that I've seen, Doctor Who wise, for the promotion so far. So, and if they just kept it to that and the positive stuff rather than focusing on any of the backlash, then maybe, just maybe, it might come across a lot better.
That's the thing. Out there that I have a cosplay issue. So do I. I've got both of his costumes, the one that we first saw, and then the one we saw in the Christmas episode. I'm not really a big cosplay person. but I really liked his costume, so I got it. And I find it baffling that Shooty seems to have this sort of inferiority complex at the minute about everyone's out to get him, when he's received nothing but praise and validation from a large section of fans since he's walked through the door. There's been a few unfortunate people who have took it a bit too far, and yeah, those are genuine racists. And I've seen some of them in chats on streams I've been in, and we've banned those people. And you know, because it intrinsically it's how it's structured, because they just see it. Or if you're slightly critical, you must be a racist. Not necessarily. If you were to say, here's the question: if you say, "Oh, can a black man play the Doctor?" and if you were to say, "No, a black man is physically incapable of playing the Doctor," well, that's obviously racist. But if you were to then sort of say, well, I feel the character's been, this way for nearly 50 years. Now recently I've changed it to a woman and then into a black man. And if you find that, if you simply question that, I don't think that necessarily makes you scum of the earth, just because you slightly take issue with the fact that maybe there's been a lot of change recently. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. Like, again, I've praised it.
I don't know the history of Disney. I've not looked closely at them, so I'm seeing what Nigel Jones is saying, and I've heard it from a few people. The negativity is from the Disney modern entertainment playbook of getting out ahead of a poor show and deflecting from the show by anti-marketing and attacking the fans. Now, Jeremy, I could see you were going to come in. Just before you were going to come in, I was going to obviously going to agree with Retro Doc because he was agreeing with me, but circular thing there. But basically, I wanted to just reinforce something that RTD is an angry man, and it came from the mouth of Bad Wolf and Julie Gardner. He wrote years and years. It was a howl of rage at the modern world, and I think on one hand he's a showman, on the other hand he's as dark as the pits of hell because he sees the darkness in humanity. And then, of course, one of the great fans of his, who's a journalist, says Doctor Who is one of the best toys out there to have to change the future generations' belief systems. Jeremy, where were you going to come in on this?
I was just going to say, why is it an issue for Nkuti now when it wasn't really an issue and he didn't raise the issue in the previous program that he was in? You mean
sex education?
Sex education. So we never had any of that on the previous program that he was in.
Yeah.
And now, as soon as he starts playing Doctor Who, he's raising issues about this, that, the other, something.
I think it's because it's a good point to make, because I think we're on a different show now. Sex education got on with it, was very successful, and I agree with you. I didn't hear any comments from Shooty then, but now he's got the Godfather RTD, the great one. They're pushing certain things, and he's agreed with this. Shooty said this, didn't he? He went in to see the designer, and the designer had all those sketches that were gender pushing and societal pushing outfits. So in other words, this show has to have an agenda, it seems to me. Which sex education, you're saying, well, if it did, it was less in your face. But you see, this is the problem. RTD is really going for it with so many different things. And this is where my concern is. He also said, if I can get this in the right place, can you see at the bottom there? He said, he's a gatekeeper of television. Come on, everybody. So you have Shooty, who I think was asked to make that video before he went to America, just to calm the anger amongst a lot of fans who were called a racial slur and were called dammers and go and touch grass. And I think, yes, it was damage limitation. And then, of course, you've got RTD, his boss, who is saying he's big on representation, which sounds great. He's the gatekeeper of television, and he wants to push. And the thing is, it's when you're pushing things, you're going to hit some resistance, aren't you?
You see, a lot of this wouldn't have happened years ago, because if Tom Baker had said something like that, or Peter Davison, the producer, would have said, zip it. We don't want you having a go at the fans and the viewers. Don't criticise the audience, otherwise you'll turn people off.
You're right on that.
You can get away with it.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't
Sorry, And just before anyone comes in, because I just wanted to kind of give it's the context for one of our news items before we move on. And just before we do move on, just so everybody knows where we're going, I like to kind of signpost ex-teacher. The debate's coming up in a moment. There it is. That's the main topic. But these are our news items later. We're obviously doing the one in bright yellow at the top there. But if you want to kind of see the signpost, there's the other 4 ones there. He had an interview and he talked about the timeless children and the doctor's now adopted. He talked about Boom being the story we're going to talk about for years, blah, blah, blah. And as you know, we're going to talk about our new season kind of ideas as well. But I wanted to ask you all, he said the Doctor wasn't the straightest character, but on that right-hand side, if you can see there, he says, he thinks we're in a horrible world. Now, he might be right. And there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of mental health issues. And he talks about a lot of children, young people are facing a lot of stresses of mental health, right? Okay, that's a serious topic. And so he says, I want the Doctor not to have a stiff upper lip. I want him to be a hero who isn't closed. I want a hero who felt more. Now, every Doctor is played differently, and that's allowed. That's what we all understand as Doctor Who fans. And actually, you do often do opposites, don't you? From Tom Baker to Peter Davison, etc. But this seems to me to be a bit different. We're saying the Doctor suddenly is much. He said, I mean, I didn't highlight everything. He says he wants the Doctor to reflect his audience. In other words, if the young, kids out there and young teenagers out there are struggling with mental health, he wants the Doctor to reflect that. I'm not sure about that. I thought have a Doctor who shows resilience and shows how to manage. What are your thoughts?
I'm bored of this stuff.
It's not a soap opera. It's a television science fiction program. It's not a soap opera. If Russell T Davies wants to reflect all these issues, then I would say to him, go and write a soap opera that reflects all those issues. But I don't think Doctor Who fits into that sort of category, personally myself.
I mean, he's literally said himself, and again in another previous interview where he's spouting more nonsense, where he talks about why he's continuing the timeless child, and he basically says, all these complicated sci-fi tropes and words that they aren't going to be talked around the breakfast table, but apparently going in with like adoption or whatever, that'll be something people can relate to. And again, my thought was, well, this isn't a soap. At the end of the day, it's a sci-fi show. If people can't get around that, if too many complicated big sci-fi words are too complicated for you, then obviously the show isn't for you. Then is it? It's silly. I don't want the Doctor to be anything like me. I want the Doctor to be the Doctor. I want to be the one that looks up to the Doctor. I want to be the one that takes lessons from him or the show.
And wasn't it Stephen Moffat who, in his interview, and Stephen Moffat, when he talked to Glasgow University about writers recently, he said that the program should not reflect society. So we seem to have we have two showrunners going against each other here accidentally.
Good.
But it's a possibility that maybe Moffat does want to come back. And if as I said, if Russell T Davies jets off to America again or whatever, then the BBC might ask Moffat to come back.
Well, I know the whole thing. It just worries me, the whole thing. And then we've got a placement director and everything. You just think, what is this place all about anymore? They seem to be pushing so many agendas. It's absolutely amazing. So that was item 1 on all the representation and everything. So
can I just have one point, Brendan, before I forget, please? Is that all right?
Go on. Yeah. Good
shows get people talking about the issues regardless. Like, look at the biggest show for anyone who's from outside the UK of the last 6 months has been The Post Office versus Mr. Bates. The amount of people that were talking about that was ridiculous. And very forward and good big thing to talk about, but good shows get people talking about the issues. They reflect society back at you, but not overtly most of the time. It shouldn't have. They shouldn't have to try this hard. Doctor Who should get you talking about things without holding a mirror up. That's all I was going to say. Sorry, Brendan.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It gives me moments to do things. we went to Dwas last week, and at around 8:30 we'll show you a few items, but I'll just give you a little snippet now just to show you what I mean, because obviously not everyone can get to these things. So I'll just show you for a brief second. There you go. Isn't that lovely? You see, we are Doctor Who fans, and I just want to show everybody it's around 8:30 how it should be done. Sylvester was there, Caroline Ford, Sophie Aldred, Fraser Hines. It was a great time. And the Doctor Who fans there weren't being negative. And I'll say more at around 8:30. Timescales, I know you're over there in San Francisco. Doctor Who Appreciation Society is to us. Okay, so we'll say more about that. And of course, I had some great photographs. I mean, look at that. I went to the original companion, and so did Willie. There he is. She wanted to adopt him, I tell you. So there we go. Dwas.
Looking great.
He is looking
really great.
And she was good fun. Now, okay, the big debate. For Doctor Who to survive, it is vital that the season wins the US audience or not. So, please, in the thread, where do you stand on this one? We've had weeks when we've talked about the Americanization of Doctor Who. We've talked about showrunners and producers and the BBC being neglectful. For Doctor Who to survive, is it vital that this season wins the US audience? The reason I'm asking this is, of course, there's a few things. There's been a hell of a big American marketing campaign, which our friends like Timescales have been saying hasn't been done before, really, for Doctor Who. So there's one thing. But the other thing I wanted to say to my panel and the thread is, remember the 1996 Doctor Who movie? It was a success in the UK, but it was axed. It was not a success in America. It was axed. So have they actually got their priorities right maybe this time to actually almost ignore us and prioritize America? Because if you don't grab America, whatever we think, it will be axed. Now, that's my simple way of putting it. I am nuancing what I really truly think. Part of my job is to provoke, so don't think I'm saying exactly what I think. But, you know, the truth is there, we did lose the American movie of Doctor Who because it failed in America. So does the BBC and Bad Wolf and Disney have to focus on winning the American market?
Well, it was Canadian, wasn't it?
Well, yes, yeah. But it was Fox, wasn't
North
it?
America.
Well, it was filmed in Canada, but I don't know whether it's Canadian, some money in there or whatever.
So, you know, the point is still there. Should there be pitching to the American market to actually? Because as I come to you, Rachel, Julie Gardner has been saying in a quote recently that they wanted to reach every fan out there. They want it to reach global and be bigger and better. She said, didn't she?
She did, yeah. Oh, am I on?
Yeah, yes, you are. Yeah.
Oh, I am. Okay, I thought I'd muted it. Sorry. Yeah, she did. To be honest with you, it's nice. It's a nice idea. I do like the idea, and I like bigger audiences. That's great, bigger reach. But I don't think it's vital. I think what's vital is better storytelling, better writing.
Yes.
That should really draw the audiences back in and keep them engaged. That's what I think. But at the same time, I do think it's nice that they're trying to do that. And Disney is certainly putting a lot into the promotion, that's for sure. Airbrush shooty.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I missed out when I mentioned the 1996 movie is we are all very, very aware that Disney have booked these 2 seasons. And after these 2 seasons, there is nothing yet. So that's why I was pointing to, do they really have to win America in this launch? Because if it doesn't go well, it may not be renewed. Is this a big Disney audition?
I don't think it would do the show any harm to actually take a rest and then come back in a few years. I actually don't think it won't do it any harm at all. That's just my opinion. So if it doesn't come back after the 2 series, I'm not too worried about it, because it will come back when people are excited for it again.
Yeah.
That's what I think
There's no... Sorry, Ray, I've done it again.
No,
Sorry.
that's going, Sean.
there's nothing. I'm just reading the chat a little bit, and there's been nothing over here. I mean, feel free to disagree from wherever you guys are, but I've seen no advertising here for it. There was no advertising for the 60th with David Tennant when they needed to. Do they need to win the US audience? No, they need to win us. They need to win. They need to win as many people back as they can. They've lost the core audience in the UK. That's who they need to get back. I think the only way they might go for the US is because they're thinking, well, if we get a big audience on Disney Plus, that'll keep the show going because they kind of don't need the UK. But I think it's finished. I think they've done 2. I know you shouldn't be this judgmental before it's even out, but I think they've done 2 series, and I think that's it. I don't think they'll do any more. It might limp on for a couple of specials, maybe, but I genuinely think this is it. And
Sean,
it's nothing but a good thing. If it's as bad
well,
as
Sean, just to mention, because the Americans have seen maybe what's been going on in America, and I know, Sean, in Britain you haven't seen, but there was the photo shoot here. They started at the BBC with a good old red double-decker bus. There's our 2 stars. And, of course, they were joined by RTD as well on that bus at one point. There's Abbey Road Crossing. This was all on the same day. There's RTD at the BBC headquarters. Then, of course, they did go to do the big premiere. I can't remember if it was 2 episodes, the Space Babies and Devil's Cord, that was shown to all the journalists and everybody, sworn to secrecy. There's lovely Bonnie Lanford looking fantastic. There's Stephen Moffat. There's the cast, and there's Phil Collinson. There's Jane Tranter, all looking very pleased with themselves. No smile there from Shooty. That's unusual. That's better.
Oh, it's not airbrushed as much there.
No, he's not. That lady is in Dot and Bubble. She's going to get attacked by those tractator slug type things. Good old Anita Dobson, Mrs. Flood. We'll be talking about her later and what we're expecting from this season. And look, we've got her Ruby's foster mother. We've got, and there they are together. And so I was just going to say, Sean, this was the big launch in Britain, so our American audience can see this is that the police box there. Everything was set up. There was a panel, and we've had on the One Show, as Rachel said earlier, there was a match of the day mashup with Doctor Who. It was a strange one. Anyway, that just so you can see, that was the marketing in Britain, so to speak.
There was also a Radio 2 interview as well.
Yes.
With Gabby Roslin.
So that it's not that they haven't ignored Britain. We have seen trailers at various points. I mean, we've had programs about the trailers. We've seen the trailers. I have seen interviews with them. They've been on Breakfast TV. They have been around. And I also am aware, but I'm not in America, that when they've been in America, there's lovely Jonathan Groff, who is either playing Rogue, because someone of the wording said he was playing Rogue in Rogue. I wasn't quite sure about that. But he's the American mark. And so please, RetroDoc Timescales, tell us all about it. But there you go. It's hit the breakfast circuit. They've and RTD, in New York there. As you know, you'll have seen pictures of these subway trains in New York, which is impressive, I have to say. I mean, I think the Americans I've been talking to are saying this is bigger scale. I know, for Rachel, you've mentioned the photoshopping effect.
Yeah, sorry, it really bugs me. It like. He has no skin texture. What's going on? This man's about 30 years old. At least have him look a bit older. I mean, like more his age rather than airbrushing his texture out. I think it looks really bad. I mean, it's amazing they're getting all of this advertising, but I don't think they did him any favors with that big picture. Sorry to cut you off.
It's all right.
I just keep thinking of that phrase about you can't polish something, but you can roll it in glitter. But I can't quite get my thoughts together.
What do you think of the?
I mean, it's nice though. It's imprintable. You see all these pictures, all over in the subway or whatever. It's good promotion. This is if anything, this is what I want. I want Doctor to be as big as it possibly can. I want it to be as good as it possibly can. So I don't see this as an issue. I mean, I saw some daft little comment again from a certain individual, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, promote it so it'll tick off all these the G word, the phrase that Shooter used." And I said, "Why would that annoy us? Like, we want it to be good. That's the whole point. I want it to be promoted. I want it to be the best version of itself. You know, I like seeing stuff like this. I mean, look at that. I'd love to see something like this in my area, but."
If you get onto the carriage with the painting of a devil's cord, do you have to have a ticket to ride?
Oh, here we go. We're going to go down that way. Rachel,
Yeah,
what are you going to say?
Sorry.
Can I play a bit of devil's advocate here, so to speak? No, I love that they got all of this on the train. So I think that's really cool, but it's very it comes across very overhyped. My concern would be is this would perhaps do a bit of an overkill on the expectations of what people are going to expect from a TV show. So maybe seeing all of this might make them a bit, oh, well, that was a bit anticlimactic. You know, I'm a bit worried that might happen. I mean, this is great. I love this, but except for the airbrushing, but you know, it's.
I'm worried that they're going to get what I think is Doctor Who light. I am concerned because whether people want to disagree with me or not, when I'm thinking about are we trying to win the American market to make it work this time and to get season 3 renewed by Disney? Look at the TARDIS. They talk about the TARDIS in interviews as a spaceship. It's a time machine. The language is changing. If you look at, they're obsessed with the diversity thing. Well, most of the media out there is, but of course, Disney is big on that. The messaging, the emotional hand-wringing of all the characters, the fantasy hocus pocus twaddle element, the sonic screwdriver being now needs to look harmless, no evil wheelchairs, is the quintessential Britishness of Doctor Who that had made it a success and made it interesting to those American Doctor Who fans, is it being eroded into a Doctor Who light dilution, like the Little Mermaid movie, which, as you know, didn't have the Hans Christian Andersen ending? The Grimm's fairy stories that have been changed by Disney, Hunchback of Notre Dame that was changed by Disney. You know, they take something from the European culture and they dilute it.
It's
And
well
are they
known.
doing... Go on, sorry.
Sorry, Brennan. I think it's. I've had this discussion many times with about films, because as you've said, they've changed films before. They've, you know, when they adapt series, they change it. They in Britain, our greatest comedies are tragic characters that don't make it in life. Your David Brents, your Basil Fawltys, your Albert and Steptoe, all those kind of things. They're all tragic characters. It's funny, but it's also tragic. We like that kind of downbeat. We're a bit more pessimistic, a bit more. No, that's the wrong word. Maybe I am, but I think when the Americans do something, and you know, it's just the way that's slightly different to us in that, you know, they do The Office, the UK office and the US office is a brilliant example of the different ways that, you know, you can make two shows very, very good for that audience. And I don't know. I can't talk. I'm not American. If there's any Americans in the chat, please let us know. But I don't think personally, if I had to guess, that the Americans want Doctor Who to be Americanized. They have shows, not similar, but they have sci-fi shows that they have going. They like Doctor Who to have that quintessential Britishness, presumably. I mean, because if not, I'm completely lost. Because I don't think this is about winning the US audience. It is, but I don't think the UK audience even comes into it at this point, because there isn't one left.
But you see, you know, Sean, I always use the analogy, it's stuck on my head, that the BBC needs the Disney money and streaming services, just like a drug pusher and a drug addict have that symbiotic relationship. It feels to me as though the BBC needs Disney and will keep going back to Disney, and they will desperately want season 3 renewal. And that desperation means that RTD will be cognizant of that and will write to win the Disney approval. Therefore, he self-censors. He gets rid of the Davros that we all recognize. He changes the sonic screwdriver. He makes it sledgehammer TARDIS hocus pocus stuff. He has the TARDIS skateboarding in Wild Blue Yonder. And all of a sudden, and it lands like a space shuttle in Star Trek at unit headquarters. And all of a sudden, you've changed Doctor Who into an American type spacey show. Go on, Cinnamon.
It is, and again, these little changes. The fact that we even have to call it season 1. I mean, the only reason the real reason that whole thing was even a thing is because of Disney. Disney is the reason it's called season 1, not because of some sort of secret plan of Russell. I think it was as simple as, well, if we were to call it series 14 and then put it on Disney Plus, the American viewers who have maybe not seen the show before would be confused. Well, it says series 14 here. Where the other 13? So, of course, to make it more sense, just call it series 1. And, of course, again, more catering to the American market, which, I think explains that. It's just, in one side of the mouth, they're talking about at the that music awards thing, or the music celebration where they showed off the new Shooties theme and etc. At that very same event, Russell came on stage and very clearly said, "Oh, it's still the same old show." So they keep trotting out, but when you keep calling it this or changing this or saying, "Oh no, the character's always been this," or it's not like the Doctor's not been completely straight before, or these little changes, these little niggling away at the show, eating away at it, it has its toll. And to the underlying question of, or does Doctor Who need Disney to succeed? Well, I think it does, because they've put all their eggs in one basket. If this isn't well received over there, I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're going to have a third season anyway, because I think maybe they're going to wait and see how the first 2 perform before maybe renewing any deal. But I think even without that, I think Shooty was going to do something else, take a short break, work on other projects before coming back for the third one.
Well,
I think it's
earnest.
Yes. And it's sorry, I know, Rachel, you're saying that's what one of our final news items anyway. You can see where our news items are, and then, as Rachel said, he's I think he's in it in the end of May. Actually, he's already
like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's already doing his own stuff at the National Theatre. My concern there's a few points here. Rachel said it's a shame it wasn't rested, Doctor Who, and my concern is, because they've now done 2 seasons, I think personally, to please Disney and to win their approval, we have radically changed the show. And by the time we get what we want, which is possibly to rest Doctor Who, you can't retrieve it. We thought the Timeless Children was a big issue, but let's be honest, he said, and it's one of our news items later, he said he's actually going to dumb down on that even further. So we do have a problem now, don't we, that you can't revive a show after you've Americanized it. And I'm sorry to say that, because we've got some lovely American fans here, and they also don't like what's going on. And I know Americanization sounds like an insult, doesn't it? And I don't mean it like that. Disneyfication, that basically it's just getting changed beyond what it was, and therefore it loses its quintessential Britishness and identity.
Well, let's flip it on its head.
The Americans in the chat recognise that. We've got timescales satisfied. Yes. These guys,
Retro
because the reason they like the show is because of the show. They like the show for what it was and for what was supposed to be. They like it for that charm, because this is different for them. This is a different show for them. This isn't, it's structured differently. It's written differently. It's produced differently. Doctor Who is way different to a lot of American shows I've seen. It's different, and I think they like that. So
before Sean comes in, Retro Doc, please give us information. We've got some great American fans in here, and I need some more detail. This season needs to have the awareness and viewer numbers of Netflix's Fallout to be considered a success, but it's not trending anywhere now at all, with only a week to go. Now, what numbers are we talking about, and how are we going to find out? Because the point is, I am concerned that it seems to me, tell me if I'm wrong, that Disney will jump the gun if this is a bad launch. I don't think we've got 2 years to wait. I think we'll know if Disney are unhappy quite soon. Am I right?
Yeah.
Well, they're not happy with the current production of Snow White. That's having a lot of work done on it. So, who
Yes,
knows?
Melanie Weston mentioned that. Yeah. Yes, that's true.
I was just going to say, if they've got Disney money, why on earth didn't they show some film 2 episodes in America? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
this is a good opportunity for them to do it. You know, even if it's just a couple of episodes, or even once.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I was going to say earlier, to flip it on its head, you know, it's like some of my favorite American shows, Cheers, Scrubs. I don't want an English version of that. That would be dreadful. I can't imagine how rough a British version of Scrubs would be. But you know, they would be absolutely awful. But you know, there's nothing wrong with trying to appeal to America. I mean, I look to be a bit positive, because I feel like I haven't been much this stream. I've been rewatching Matt Smith, particularly series 7, where they start off with the Impossible Astronaut. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that like little series they had in America. I think they went back to America later in the of course they did. So I've got a print of it. The Angels Take Manhattan, and you know, so they did a lot there, and it really worked because it kept the feel of Doctor Who, but put it into America and worked in a way that you could dip into the way they like the America is, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So there's nothing wrong with like appealing and having things like that, but to do what they seem to have done, which is, you know, just go hell for leather. Like as Cinnamon said, and he's right. Like it is great to see them put so much faith behind it. I just hope it's not misplaced. Like I want this to be good. I really do. I know I said this last time I was on, but I genuinely want this. I want to come on after this, as soon as this series has ended, and say, "Yep, hold my hands up. That was brilliant. A couple of stinkers in there, but that was brilliant. I love this. I would kill for an episode that makes me look at it like Midnight or Turn Left, or
and we will be.
I'd love it.
And we will be talking about the season soon, so don't worry. We will be talking about that tonight. But the other thing is I wanted to bring in is Melanie Weston investigates higher. By the end of the run of episodes of season 1, Disney will say if they are involved for season 3 or not. And this is what I mean. I'm like you, Sean. I want this to do well. I don't like sounding negative. And if we're sounding maybe cynical or realistic tonight, the point is we're on the eve of a new season. But although I know there's 2 in the bank, so to speak, I feel as though it's this season 1 that's going to make or break Doctor Who in America. And with Disney, that's a problem. Right, so Retro Doc has got on here. They really should have included a couple of monsters in that subway art, combining space with the Bridgerton outfits. It's been mentioned a few times this. Where's the monsters? There seems to be no monsters there. The other thing, and Retro Doc mentioned it earlier, I know in jest, was what do you think of the actual slogan they're using? Your cosmic joyride awaits. Cosmic joyride. Again, even that sounds American to me. I just the cosmic joyride.
Crime, innit?
It's what? Well, yeah, it's crime. Cosmic to me, as an English teacher, cosmic I always think is that it's the adjective that I find is a bit more American. I don't know. I just do cosmic, and so let's go cosmic joyride. I don't know. I mentioned Starsky and Hutch last time, and I feel as though we are trying to just eat into that. You know, give me the loving. Yeah, I know, and so I don't know where you take this. So there was the British marketing, there was the American marketing. But because I personally think this season is the make or break, like Melanie Weston thinks as well, do you see why? And do you accept then that RTD might have made those changes that we all hated, like the Sonic, Davros, etc.?
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. In terms of what?
As in, I made an argument a few minutes ago that I think he's partly been I think he's been self-censoring some of his writing to placate and please his masters who have the money, because he does want them to renew season 3 and 4. Now, when you get to know what they're like, you will write more for them. That's just a fact, isn't it? You just will. So basically, I'm just wondering whether the Davros choice, the Sonic choice, and all the other bits and bobs have been RTD trying to please his masters. Rachel?
Well, it could be that, but Disney are very big on their diversity, equality, and inclusion policy, and it generally runs at 50% or more. So I don't know. That's hard to say, isn't it?
It is hard to say. It's speculation, isn't it? But I
Mhm.
just think I don't just go, RTD completely wrong. I'm trying to work out. I was overall impressed with RTD with season 1, 2, 3, 4. Overall, there were things there I didn't like. That I could see the creeping sexualization, etc. But overall, it was really successful, and I really enjoyed watching Doctor Who then. So why am I suddenly now sounding more anti-RTD? Is it because he's making decisions he didn't make before? Well, yes. But why is he making them? I'm trying to work that out.
I
And
think he's also a very changed man in
yeah,
recent years. I think a lot's happened to him in recent years that may have affected the way that he writes. I mean, obviously, he lost his partner and all of that. So maybe he just sees the world a bit differently now since that happened. I
yeah.
don't know. It's hard it's hard to say.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you look at those interviews, I mean, you had a few of the screenshots up there from earlier of the two women of the
Yeah.
Doctor Who and Me, Who Am I thing, and there was two women, and I watched that, and they basically saying he's angry at the. It seems like he's angry at the world, and he's using Doctor Who as a way to channel that, and I don't think that's the way to go forward. Russell's life, again, he's in his 60. He's in his 60s now. He's a gay man.
He's about 61.
I will never know what it's like to grow up as a gay man in the 70s, the 80s. So I will never understand his life experience from that point of view. I just think he's got a lot of anger in the world, and a lot of it's just internalized and built up over a while. And I don't think coming out swinging and using the public platform and using a show like Doctor Who to sort of channel that and to sort of validate yourself or to vindicate or whatever the word. I don't know. It stinks of that, doesn't it? It just seems like I'm using it to go ahead, Bridge.
I was just saying maybe he's taken on like oh no, actually I forgot what I was going to say. So it's not relevant.
If you remember, you can. Sorry, I've done it again. I have no issue with him going dark. I think me and Cinnamon have discussed, like, look at Torchwood, Children of Earth. Like that is about dark as you can go. I know it's not Doctor Who, but I've no issue with the show going darker. I love, what me and Cinnamon did our stream. I love some of the more darker elements of Doctor Who, but the fact that you've stripped all those away in favor of it being like really light, fantasy heavy, really kind of flamboyant, which is fine, go for it. But then at the same time, a lot of the feel of a lot of these interviews and things that people are, Shooty's done, RTD's done, they come across as quite passive aggressive, which over here we're masters at. And it's like, why are you trying to make this show all happy and light and frothy and American, all dead colourful, and yet at the same time, a lot of the feeling we're getting from it is there's an awful lot of anger. It's like I can't reconcile the two.
Well, if I can just interject slightly, my first 2 weeks ago, my first saloon show, I've done two. They're Tuesdays at 4 to 5 p.m. Please join us. They're only about 20 minutes long. I've done two on RTD, and I have discussed, and I use evidence. I don't speculate. I just show evidence. And in those, Sean, and I can see people in the chat saying this, so I thought it's best time to answer now. From what he has said, Russell Davies thinks that the world is angry at the moment. Now, whether that's because the politics isn't the politics he likes, but basically he sees a lot of anger in the world. He can see an awful lot of people who are very unhappy in the world. And so he thinks he needs to do a show that's lighter, more fantastical. That's what he's saying, by the way. I'm just saying roughly what he said. And so he can see the anger, and he's trying to therefore pitch it more fantasy to make it lighter, is his argument. but he also wants to reflect the anger and the unsettled state of so many people. Hence why this doctor's going to be emotionally open. So I'm just trying to answer that in kind of his paraphrased words.
Well, why doesn't he go away and write something else? He's
Yeah.
one of the best
Yeah.
writers
Oh,
that
oh,
we've got, if not the best. Go write something else. Look at the shows he's done over the past couple of years. They've been absolutely unbelievable. I'm still yet to catch Years and Years. My dad said it was amazing, and he's not easily impressed. You know, he's done some of the best TV we've seen for years. Always been very heavily political. No issue. Fine. Doctor Who, back even through its run, it was there, nuanced. It was nuanced and very well put in. Fine, but I don't understand this whole. Oh, we're making it really, really light and frothy because I'm angry. I'm like, well, I don't understand. I can't reconcile that at all. And I think it's just a strange way to put it.
Okay, Rachel.
Yeah, so I have just logged onto the Disney website. I was just wondering if that some of this might actually play into stuff that Disney want to present as a company, and it was our commitment to diversity, equality, and inclusion, and they're committed to diverse workforce, fostering company culture that's welcoming and respectful, and it's creating content and experiences that resonate with our global audiences, and collaborating with community organizations to make our industries more accessible to all. So I'm wondering if that all of this backtracking and changing things is perhaps for the benefit of Disney's DEI and painting everything in a better light. Maybe, I mean, I'm just trying to be positive.
That
here,
and they get
but
paid for it, don't they? I mean, we see it all the time. I mean,
yeah,
even speaking from personal experience, being taken on because I tick a certain box and it looks good for the company, and then
yeah,
after
and
2 years,
also, yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah.
And also, it says across our platforms, we champion storytelling that reflects the world around us and helps us develop meaningful relationships with our consumers. We strive to present genuine, authentic, and respectful storytelling. To do so, we engage individual families and communities across the globe, and we embrace different perspectives in our filmmaking, both in front and off behind the camera. So there's that as well. So maybe some bits playing into that.
So thank you for that, Rachel, because the point is, I do think it is about winning over Disney, and therefore looking at Disney's DEI policies, looking at their guidelines is key, because and I've kept this on the screen, Retro Doc, because does Russell Davies even understand that people tune into shows like Doctor Who to escape? That's why I watch Doctor Who. I wasn't running away from anything. I'm just one of those kids who just liked something that wasn't kind of bogged down in the reality of Earth. I found Earth boring. I love to be going to the far-flung parts of the universe, and I like the way that a lot of the Doctor Who writers in the 70s and 80s, etc., were so creative. I mean, I think we've all got our season 15 Blu-rays at the moment. Just finished Invisible Enemy, and oh my God, the Invisible Enemy. When you look at it, it was so. Yeah, exactly, Jeremy. It was so creative, so imaginative. And yes, the budget could never deliver, although it tried hard. I love that asteroid or hospital and all that stuff. And the model shots were good and K9 was invented. Doctor Who was great, and it was pure escapism. And I don't think, Retrodoc, we need to be bogged down in Earth. I don't want my doctor bogged down in Earth issues. And when you go back to the Star Beast, I think one thing that's just stunning about it is, why would a doctor who's maybe lived 40 centuries, you know, he's been in the Earth's future, why would he be bothered about pronouns in our 21st century? He'd already know. So number one, he wouldn't make the mistake, or he'd think it was froth and it changes. He wouldn't be bothered because he's got the span of the whole history of the planet. And so it was a stupid bit of dialogue, and we're bogging down in nonsense. It's silly.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just needed-
I saw a video, and it was kind of on Instagram. And when you're just scrolling through and you see these videos, and it was somebody saying, like, effectively, you know, we spend a lot of our time, you know, even now, really, I'll try and be self-aware, just talking about issues like this, getting frustrated, and rightly so. But we get so passionate and despondent and annoyed about things in life. And when you think about the grand scheme of things, in however long the planet's been around, however long human life has been around, and how long it probably will go on for, these problems, really, when you think about it, in the grander scheme of life, they're smaller than a hair's width, really. So you would think, wouldn't you? From the Doctor's point of view, where he can jump from one end of the universe to the other, from the start to the beginning of Earth's history, that some small trivial issue doesn't really matter, because he's got the benefit of the doubt of knowing the full context. So we wouldn't again, like you say, we wouldn't have to get bogged down and get told off by a 15-year-old who was probably thousands of years younger than him for making a mistake, what have you. Because, like you say, it's a bigger issue. I mean, he even said it before with Capaldi, with Bill. Where our race is, we were far beyond your petty squabbles of gender or whatever. And that the other side tried to get us some sort of win, but it works both ways, really. And it's true. You shouldn't get bogged down on issues. And again, this is where I think the Doctor Who shouldn't be used to platform a certain agenda. Whether you're right wing, left wing, doesn't matter what you are. Just write good Doctor Who. Write a good story.
Because sorry, Sean, I will let you in a minute, Sharon. Don't worry. The thing about the politics is it comes and goes. You get a left government, a right government. It's fashions almost. So to get your program bogged down in it gives it a time frame. It ages it.
And that's why a lot of people say Series 11 is quite outdated now. Because and again, we went through this weird little era where we had a lot of people had Trump derangement syndrome, and then it was constant that. And you watch certain shows that were released around 2018, 2019, and there'll be so many Trump allegories. I mean, literally, you go watch Arachnids in the UK, and it just dates itself. You need it to be contemporary. And when you make
I know I'm bringing Sean in. I just wanted Nigel Jones is actually keeping me right here, because on my saloon show that I do on Tuesdays, I had that evidence that David Tennant was one of those who said it looks as though Russell Davies has taken the guardrails off. It looks as though this version of RTD is unbound. And I'm sure Nigel Jones knows, in that same program, I showed the evidence. I think the worst bit was there's no checks and balances. The Bad Wolf team he's surrounded by, he said, nobody will dare question him. And he said, do you think I'd work with anybody who would question me? Go and have a look at my Sense for Your Saloon. He said it, direct quotes. This man now is, if he's changing Doctor Who, nobody can stop him. Sorry, Sean.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes.
No, it's all right, mate. It just reminds me of I'm far too gobby. It just reminds me of a quote that I think I've said before was Doctor Who, but I think I'm wrong off the top of my head. I think it's from Torchwood. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. Cinnamon, if you know, let me know. It's Captain Jack. I don't know if it's the episode where Tosh gets with an alien. I can't remember, who takes the form of a woman. I think Gwen says something about it. Didn't know that Tosh was that way inclined, and I think Captain Jack says something along the lines of, "Oh, you humans and your quaint little categories." Like, it was always very, like, you got the idea that once we got past this, there was a great clip that I saw recently, which was from the original Star Trek. When is it the one where Abraham Lincoln turns up and he uses a very, 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 well, it'd be a very offensive or very outdated term for Uhura, and her appearance is all I'll say. And she says something on the lines of, "It's okay, our society have got past being hurt or offended by words." And you think, my God, that was back in the 60s. Like, and they were, and even with what was going on there at the time, they had that foresight to be like, yeah, we'll get past this. That's what I love about, Star Trek and TNG and a couple of the series after that it had this view that the future would be something where, well, yes, it's not great right now, but we'll get through this, because that's the message people need right now. People are struggling. People are every.
Couldn't we? We could parody ourselves, and we can take the mick out of us. And I'll say, like the 8th Doctor, humans seeing patterns and things that aren't even there. And it's like we're living through that. Yeah. We're a parody. We're living through our own parody and our own jokes, because we are getting bogged down in this stuff.
Well, people need. We know, like, people out there are you know, we everybody of every color, creed, everything, of every nationality, every class, a lot of people are having a really tough time out there. Just putting food on the table, just hating their homes. Like, what they want when they turn the television on is they want escapism. They don't want, so if they want the world reflected at them, they'll put the news on. They want, you know, we don't want this. We want, I think a lot of people want a hopeful message. Yeah, don't get me wrong, sometimes a bit, you know, bit of depressing TV show, but we want this hope, especially from a science fiction show, that, you know, we'll get over these, you know, we'll get over these squabbles and these disagreements.
And to link with what you're saying, Sean, I think it's a very good point. It links to Retro Doc's point about the escapism element. If all of TV reflects our grim, difficult lives, how is that helping the mental health of people? Mental health is partly to distract. You distract. You give your brain a rest for an hour. That's the point. And I think some of these well-to-do, worthy, earnest people are going over the top. They're not psychologists. They are media people. And they're in it for themselves in most cases. Let's be honest. They're all in a book. And the point is, they don't really understand psyche. They might write good dialogue. They might be creative in various ways, but they are not trained psychologists. And I have to say, Doctor Who would do a great service to people if it got off the planet, went to the future or the past, and didn't bring the past with our kind of niceties now, just did it as it should be, and let us forget. Just let us enjoy. And let us reflect. And if you go to the past and you go, oh, God, that would be seen as sexist now. Oh, that would be seen as racist now. Yeah, you just chat about it, but you don't get bogged down. And the point is, if you are really bothered about people who have got mental health issues, who are having a hard time, like you said, Sean, day to day, it's difficult, give them an hour of stress-free entertainment, for God's sake.
Oh, nobody gets prescribed to watch Doctor Who.
Repeat what... Go on, Sean.
No, sorry, I'm getting. I was just saying, no, getting on my soapbox. I think there's a few stacked up at this point, but honestly, you just kind of think like nobody gets. If you need help, no one says, "Oh, tell you what would be really good." If I meet somebody who needs help, I don't go, "You know, it'd be great for you." Doctor Who's streaming on Disney Plus. Like, you buy a subscription with what little money you've got left and watch that. That'll sort it out for you. Like, this, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
The NHS.
Anyway, sorry.
Kind of prescriptions.
Sorry, honestly.
There's an element that narratives are all about victimhood, and I have to say, this is not anti-sympathy to people who are having a difficult time, but I don't think feeding them more victimhood helps anybody. You know, you've got to give them some outlet and having fun, and let's have a laugh, for God's sake. And Doctor Who was right bang in the center of that, and yeah, it almost could be prescribed for some people. And let's face it, a lot of us joined Doctor Who when we were kids, whether we were having a difficult time, getting bullied at school, or just felt a bit different, and Doctor Who was there. Now I want to come to Jeremy for a second, because Jeremy, you're sat there, you have spent a bomb on K9 and everything, and let's be honest, I'm guessing you're not happy where we are at the moment with this pitching of the new series. Where do you think they are fundamentally getting it wrong?
I think that the person that's getting it wrong at the moment is Russell T Davies, and he needs to get his listening ears on, and very quickly. And if he was if he was on our stream, what would you tell him he needs to change? Like, do a detour, sorry, not a detour, do a U-turn fast. Give me one thing that you're going, no, that is just not Doctor Who. Stop that now. I think mainly it comes from the producer himself. And it's not just one particular thing. I think it's a lot of things. And the answer to how this series is going to survive is in the past, by looking at what makes the show successful. You know, the format, etc., etc. Not saying we need to change it to fit into this new world that we live in. No, don't change it to fit into this new world that we live in. Look at the past success, what made the program successful, and try and reinvigorate it and build upon that, rather than just put in different social aspects. We don't want to know about social aspects.
Isn't it funny, Jeremy, that when I'm joining with what you're saying, that you know now that the fad is to show to do dramas set in the 70s or to do dramas set in a certain period of time. And you're thinking, right, so you want us to go back to that period for an hour. So why don't you just let Doctor Who get on with what it was good at and stop bringing it into the 21st century in this kind of format? So in a funny sort of way, they get us to 2024, then they want to depict the past, and it gets all very, very silly. I just want to say, just before we kind of move on from the big debate, is there anything major that we haven't mentioned? Those in the thread, those on our panel. I started because I was worried about, look, Disney have to renew the contract for season 3, or I think it is game over. You've seen speeches from RTD saying that really the days with the BBC are over, and people have guessed that he almost wants a job at Disney or in America. But I think he's saying what he thinks is a version of the truth, which is Doctor Who needs big budget now to survive. Although he then, as you know, contradicted himself and said we could easily make something like Horror Fan Rock if we didn't have the money. But I think they've put all their eggs in one basket, haven't they, Rachel?
And I'll turn my mic on and I'll say that again. Yeah, they have. They definitely have. But, well, that was their choice, and I guess we'll see how that plays out. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I am.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't think they have to make it a vital success in America. They need to make it a vital success here in the UK with good scripts. And once they do that, then the Americans will pick it up and say, we like it.
Agree.
I know. And I'd love that to be true, Jeremy. You know, my problem was the 1996 movie where we loved it in Britain and it was axed because America didn't take it up.
Pomegranate was great.
The problem with the movie, and I've always said this, it wasn't backed up with a 6-part series or 6 episodes to back up the film.
Yeah.
And had it done so, it would have taken off, because here it got about 8 million on the night.
Yeah.
But as I said, you know, they weren't prepared to back it up with a series.
Well, just to move on from this item, I mean, we're talking about the publicity and the marketing and whether it grabs America. This was a trailer in America, and it showed you Bonnie Landford there. I wonder if that's from The Legend of Ruby Sunday, because that looks like a TV studio type thing. And then you've got Vlinks. They're all saying Doctor, and it's Doctor Who, Doctor Who. They're doing that good old chestnut. Doctor Who, Doctor Who. And we're going to talk about Jinx later, because obviously we're going to look at in detail at Space Babies and Devil's Cord. We've got a few more outfits of Jinx Monsoon and the Maestro, and there's another one. Now, by the way, in this trailer, can you see all the musical, if I just kind of detach ourselves, can you see all the musical notes coming from the drum? The more she bands that drum, the more they go down that corridor, and behind Millie Gibson, you can see a trail of musical notes grabbing her and yanking her back. So the trailer in America seemed to kind of show a few things from the Devil's Cord regarding you get snared up by the musical notes. And they showed you Susan Twist, Doctor Who. And she just looks no mess in there. We've seen her in the past. We've seen her in the Church on Ruby Road in the nightclub. We've seen her at various points, and we've been promised she's going to be a mysterious character, but there she is there. So,
is that a Torchwood symbol on his badge, or am I just seeing things?
Well,
Looks
let me go bigger.
Yeah,
possibly. It's hard to say, isn't it? But we will be doing a bit of speculation later, of course. So just to give everybody some timekeeping, so to speak. So let's remind you there's those 4 news items to come. And obviously, I was also trying to say to people that we will now have our little kind of what I would call musical interlude, where I will show you what happened at DWAS. And DWAS, Doctor Who Appreciation Society, the Sense for You was there with good old Carol Ann Ford. There's the crew. Look at them all there. Katie Manning, Sylvester, Sophie, and Willie, one of our puppets, was there. And of course, one of our other panelists, there's John Daly. He was there with It's a Very Daleks in Manhattan. So basically, what I want to just show you in a little musical interlude is some clips from Dwas, and then we'll get on with the news, everybody. So let's time ourselves. We've got 2 minutes. Here we go. For the kids.
I wanted to call my Dalek Derek as well. That's what so in the credit, I often called him Derek, and I thought it'd be quite funny if we actually called him Derek in the programme.
Exterminate!
This is how he gets his steps in.
There you go. So that was Dwas. We will do an item later on, not tonight, when it's less busy, to actually introduce all that. It was great fun. I don't normally do conventions, but it was great to see everybody there. So very important that I bring on my panel again, who've obviously hopefully very refreshed. Hello everybody, welcome back.
Point out how disgraceful it is to see Willie holding a weapon there. I mean, that's completely unacceptable.
I know Willie Stroker with a lethal weapon. I'm not sure.
Got roasted.
Right itself.
I know, and that John Daly was nicking it off. It was John Daly's sonic screwdriver, and obviously it was a busy day for Willie. He couldn't stay awake all day. It was a whole weekend actually, but oh, it was great. It was great fun, and I have to say, you know, if I just show you a couple more examples, there was a cavalcade of Daleks there. There's the hall, so to speak. It's nice to show you because not everybody gets to these things, and you know, TARDIS Spider shows us his things. So there we go. It was called Capital. God, I tell you what, I don't like the Paradigm Daleks, but by God, can you see my face? I got a hell of a shock when its eye stalk moved. Whoa!
Oh, I love those Daleks. I don't care what anybody says. I love those.
I really like them. I really like them.
I don't like the hunchback. And
The back needed work.
And there's Simon Horton with Willie, and Simon, obviously, Type 40 regular panelists. We made friends with Type 40, so it was great to see Simon, and Willie made friends with him. And there he is, knackered, couldn't cope with the day. And yes, I saw in the thread somebody said Sylvester McCoy work in the room. Sophie Aldred stayed on the stage, and he was like, I have to say, great bloke. I mean, he's 80, isn't he? And you know, he's animated. He ran around the room. He gives you your money's worth. Dwas give them both an award for what their contributions to Doctor Who. There's Fraser Hines with Carol Ann Ford. That was the final panel at the weekend. And I've got loads of video footage. We will make a program on this, everybody. So you will get to see a bit more. Did you see Rob Sheeman, who wrote Dalek? He was talking about he really did want his Dalek to have a name. and he was talking about the BBC. I wished I'd seen him before our BBC Being Neglectful show, because he was talking about, he said in 2005, the BBC had no belief in Doctor Who coming back at all. It was all down to Lorraine.
They wanted to keep their distance.
Yes. And good old Katie Manning. I've never seen Katie Manning before. Obviously, I've heard, but she was fantastic. And she doesn't give you all the old Doctor Who stories. What she does is she just tells you funny stories from yesterday, the day before, the lot. She just entertains you. There's Michael Troughton, Patrick Troughton's one of his sons. So he was there, and the lady, I've forgotten her name, and Rachael. She was Janice Goblin. And she played a lot of goblins in the church on Ruby Road. And so she's kind of talking about stunts and all the difficulties of that. So it was a good little event. And there's good old Graham Harper. Can you see on the left there, Graham Harper talking about his great direction in Doctor Who. Kevin Clark in the middle, and then Colin Spall on the side, on the right-hand side, who's been in a few Doctor Who's as well. So I will honestly entertain you in the future. We could even show that item again later, because it's lovely to see, isn't it? You know, we are angry about Doctor Who, we are critical about Doctor Who, but we love Doctor Who, and so you know, we do like to see a bit of kind of Doctor Who kind of sort of I just showed you that as we go. I mean, look, hello. I mean, which Dalek is your preference? I have to say, the Paradigm did impress me. Look at them costumes. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever see anyone cosplay something from Time Lash, so I have to say I'm rather surprised.
It was impressive. I couldn't believe that. I was trying to, and then Fraser Hines was really impressed with I've forgotten his name's gone out. It was Huxtable, Evil of the Daleks, that professor. What was his name?
Yeah.
Maurice Goring.
Another character you're referring to.
Yeah, and there's Rob Sheeman telling us about Derek the Dalek. That was a meaty Dalek. I still don't like the design. I hear what you're saying, but God Almighty, you have to get out of the way of them. That's it, Max Dibble. Yeah, yes, it's Max Dibble, isn't it? And you'll see Max Dibble in a minute. And Fraser Hines was so impressed with him. And of course, that lad was saying, "How do you get into acting?" So he said, "I'll give you a line, son, to be or not to be." And as soon as the lad said it, he said, "Sit down, next." There you go. Look, it's so exciting to see this, isn't it?
It's funny you mentioned Daleks, Brendan, because when I went to the Comic-Con in the Northeast, they had the movie Dalek there, and it's huge. You know, from Doctor Who and the Daleks, it's absolutely, they're a lot bigger than, because they didn't have any of the modern ones or the Paradigms, unfortunately, but they did have like the kind of Remembrance of the Daleks type. I'm not massively up with all Doctor Who. I'm getting there. And it was like amazing to see them. And the movie one blew up because it was going around and like stopping mainly at kids and adults who wanted to. And it was like blowing up and all this smoke came out the top of it, because I spoke to the guys who were like, brought it along and got to look inside it, because you know that's always a bit of it. You always want to look inside. I know there's not going to be a little squid thing, but you always want to see. And they're absolutely, even the movie one, you think, how does a person like move themselves around in that? And it was just really cool to see. And obviously there was Doctor Who people there. There was Freema Agyeman, who is hilarious. If she walked into an audition room, yep, she's got the job. Arthur Darvill was there, who's just every inch Rory. Jenna Coleman as well. And of course, Captain Jack Harkness, John Barrowman, and Yanto Jones as well. Gareth David Lloyd. So it was across the, and then all the Red Dwarf lads. It was amazing.
Well, Sean, let's enjoy this enthusiasm, because what we're going to do is, obviously, we all know what's around the corner. It's Doctor Who Eve, so to speak. We've got 8 promising episodes coming up. So who wants to start off with what we're dreading, what we're hoping for? Which episodes are you really dying to see? And which episodes are you dreading to see? Simple as that, really.
I'm still on for Space Baby Monsters. I still want that. I'll be very disappointed if I don't get that.
As in, you want the Space Babies to be monsters?
Yes. I want them to turn into monsters, but they won't do that.
No,
because they're with Disney, so I'll be very disappointed.
yes, because it's problematic. If you can't have an evil wheelchair
Yes.
user, you can't have evil babies, can you?
No, you can't.
So if I went round, Cinnamon, what are you looking forward to most? Which episode and which one are you dreading the most and why?
Well, I'm quite looking forward to the Moffat one now that we know that he's returning. Because again, to go from a showrunner to then sort of to be on the suspense bench again, I'm quite interested to see what he has to offer. Because again, they're even talking that one up now. There seems to be a lot of overhype. But so I'm looking forward to what the Moff can offer us. Least favorite? I don't know. I dread what the Jinx Monsoon character will be like. I mean, I hope it's an actual character rather than just playing themselves.
Well, what we'll do
is we're told there's a slight allegory on women's reproductive rights or whatever on that.
It is, yes.
But,
what we'll do, Cinnamon, is in a moment, since you've mentioned those, we're going to look at those in a bit more detail. So don't worry. I mean, we'll come back to that. So, Space Babies and Devil's Card, especially. So, Jeremy, which one are you looking forward to the most? Which one are you dreading, if you are?
I don't know. What do you think, K9? I think K9 would like Boom. I think we're looking. Are you looking forward to Boom? Affirmative. Yeah, he's looking forward to Boom.
He was blown up in School Reunion. He doesn't want another Boom.
He likes explosions. I like explosions. So I'm looking forward to Stephen Moffat's story. And I'm not looking forward to Space Babies. And I'm not looking forward to Devil's Cord.
So week one is stuffed in the Jeremy household.
And go back to back, get them over with.
Yeah, that's maybe with a plan. Sean, just to kind of give us an overview, what are you dreading and looking forward to the most and why?
I mean, I'm dreading all of it, to be honest, but I do have high hopes for the Moffat one. And to be fair, when I saw this little, the video of the clips we're seeing now, I felt like that's what you should give me. Give me that. Give me no interviews. Just give me that. Proper teasers. Because I'm looking forward to the Moffat one. And to be fair, I was quite pleasantly surprised when I watched that little, the titles little video. I thought overall, that looks all right. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. Again, I am trying to be, think, come on. But after the specials and after the Christmas one, it's hard because, once bitten, twice bitten, 3 times shy, the Moffat one, definitely.
So I'm seeing in the thread, we've got the Moffat one definitely mentioned. Ruby Sundays mentioned by Melanie Weston. There's a few. Can I just say, I'm just showing you this. So RTD is promising us a mixture of everything from comedy to horror to heartbreak. He's obviously offering us, there's stuff in the finale he's been thinking about for 40 to 50 years, which has made most Doctor Who fans go back to the 70s. And in my case, it's Sutek. Or think about something from the past. But basically, he's going, you would be gripped. Now, I keep flashing up, not to be rude to our panelists, but basically, if Boom's getting mentioned, it's one of our news items when we'll look at what he's actually saying about that story. So, yeah, please hang around for that. So, he's promising us a brilliant, devastating finale. I'll give my quick opinion. I'm looking forward to the most, I have to say. I agree with the Boom. I'm very intrigued by Devil's Cord, but I suppose I've been... I think the most disappointing thing, in a way, is it's getting the marketing right. When I was assembling all my photographs for this, I've got loads of photographs of Devil's Cord. I can almost stitch the episode together, it feels like. I haven't got many on Space Babies. And sometimes you can see too many photographs, can't you? You can just see too much. So I'm not saying I'm dreading Devil's Cord because of Jinx Monsoon. I'm intrigued what that character is. And there are quotations out there saying, I'll show you in a minute, as if she's holding a sonic screwdriver or something like that, or whether it's like a baton. It's hard to tell, but I'm more intrigued. Yeah, I'm more intrigued regarding how he stitched that story together without me guessing what it's all about. And of course, I'm a glutton for a good climax. So basically, I like the title, The Empire of Death. So I'm kind of really wanting that. So, Space Babies, everybody. I'll go on, Rachel. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, you were saying about the stitching together of the Devil's Cord. That might actually have something to do with Jinx actually winning RuPaul's Drag Race 2 times. There's something written into the contract that that she got after that, or something along those lines that involves like extra promotion, and certain things get this and certain things get that. That's what I've heard about the average RuPaul Drag Race contract for the winner. So,
Okay.
or for the contestants or something.
I mean, I've never seen Jinx Monsoon in action, so I'm going to be very intrigued. I know she's done Broadway, or he's done Broadway. I get so confused by this. Right, Space Babies, everybody. So, since we're looking at week 1, and just to remind anybody who likes our channel, who likes our stream, obviously because they've decided to stream 2 blooming episodes together, I'll be gathering a panel at 7 p.m. Sunday night to talk about Space Babies, and Monday night at 7 p.m. to discuss Devil's Cord. And most weeks it'll be 7 p.m. on a Sunday, but just for this one week, because they've thrown 2 at us, that's what the score. So please join us then. And of course, there'll be a Sensory Saloon on Tuesday at the usual time. Right, Space Babies. The Lone Dalek on Twitter said, finally got back from the Space Babies screening, and it was incredible. Legally, we can't say anything about the episode at all until it releases, but I will say that everyone has a lot to look forward to. Their future's here. Now, I really want that to be, I want it to work. Obviously, I think, Rachel, you would be pleased, as you said, if the Space Babies were evil and not just cutesy little things.
100%. Yes. There's something like with children and their innocence. When you play into fear, it's kind of more scary.
Yes,
that's what I think.
Yes,
I mean, the empty child, like fantastic.
Yeah, and
No,
I don't want a version of Look Who's Talking. I don't want a version of Baby Boss. You know what I mean? I mean, as Retro actually, Retro Doc, you're right. Let's have Space Chucky. Yes, I agree. Let's do that. That would be brilliant. Oh, I wish they would, but it's going to be on about 6 p.m. in Britain, isn't it? Because if the Eurovision starts at 8 and you're going to fit 2 episodes in, it's going to have to be around 6-ish. I think I've got the timings there, but basically they can't hang around. 6:20. So 6:20, some kiddies are going to be there. I wish you could do Space Chucky. I'm not quite sure you can. So there it is. And it just says they found a baby farm run by babies. Can they be saved from the bogeyman? And of course, the interview is all about looking after the babies on set. But as Cinnamon was saying, and I think I've got the detail here. There you go, Cinnamon. I mean, that's what you were talking about. I've got it in green. That Space Babies is a clear metaphor for governments that try to control reproductive rights without worrying about what happens to children after they're born. Ooh, mind boggles.
They say that's the big. That's the usually the big talking point. Oh, well, you pro-lifers only care about it before it's born, and then what happens? And then you, and that's not true. There are charities and there are things in place that support mothers, families, but of course they would look over that. But I just think as long as it's subtle, I mean, it's
yes. Oh, you sweet summer child.
So yeah, well, subtle could be different. Subtle could be a sledgehammer thing. So I mean, they've clearly got a message they want to propose or put across. Weave it into the story at the very least. Don't
about how you do it.
The thing is, always remember, when you've got someone pointing the finger at you, remember there's 4 fingers pointing back. So I just think,
oh, I like that.
if you want to try and enlighten us on something, put it across in the message, put it across in the story. Try and tell us, try and convince us. Don't tell us what to think. Tell us what the right opinion is, or what you think is the right opinion, because you think you're right with your perceived supernatural knowledge.
So what do you? What does everybody reckon? So what does everybody reckon is going to happen in the story then? We've got a monster, that's guaranteed, the bogeyman. There they are screaming at him, I'm assuming. It says in the synopsis that the babies run a baby farm. I've actually said, oh God, it could end up being the Timeless Children when you look at the cast there. I would dread that. What's everybody's thoughts on actually, come on then, what do you think the plot's going to be? What do you think Space Babies is going to deliver? It's only got 40 odd minutes to do the whole damn lot.
Baby farming and run away for bogies.
Do you think
I think
Honestly,
the
I
time
don't know
is
if I can
maybe an
take
hour
this one
long.
seriously.
It's 45 minutes long, which is pretty
Yeah,
short.
I thought it'd be an hour.
It's
I
really
said
short,
this
isn't
before
it?
with Noah. I was quite disappointed when I saw this. And again, maybe it's being picky, but if we're getting shorter episodes, I would expect at least 8 episodes, each 1 hour, therefore 8 hours of content. Where this is there's a good we're missing a good sort of 10-15 minutes.
I mean, in 45 minutes, with the amount of babies I saw in that cast, you'll have changed all their nappies and then the show's over. I mean, I can't imagine having enough time to actually do anything other than just maybe bottle feed them.
I believe this one's 46 and the Devil's Code is 49. So, I mean, I imagine the finale will probably be the longest one. That's usually how it goes. But
and you try and read
a small thing. But I thought I'd point it out because I was expecting it to be roughly about an hour, give or take
Maybe
2 minutes.
maybe the episode is shorter due to the logistics of actually having babies on the set.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Remember, John Yulden's been in the thread. Hiya, John. And it was John in our Sutek show. And I know he's been half cheeky, but if you look at the drawings in that trailer for Space Babies, we went a bit Sutek on it. Is it the Eye of Horus? Yeah. Those drawings, I mean, I assume it's the babies who are drawing these things. Is it things that they see? Is the bogeyman just going up there just to visit them? Or is the bogeyman collecting them? I mean, I hope it's just a good old-fashioned horror story, to be honest.
Or are they controlling the bogeyman?
Oh, yes, trickers, you mean?
Mm. They won't do that.
Oh, can you imagine the baby?
That's my logical conclusion. I would look at that and think, the twist will be that the babies aren't as innocent as they seem. But would they be able to make that happen?
Oh, well.
But that's what I would think would happen. But yeah, and for John, yeah, like you make a good point. I think it's funny that these people with exclusive actors, people who get invited to these things, and it's not because of envy or jealousy. It's just that these people who will always hit no matter what, and they get invited to nice big special events. But
I'm laughing at RetroDoc because when you aim to do something but you get the opposite effect, because if you watch a lot of cute babies in a kind of Hollywood type movie, I think you could actually get to that message quite quickly, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I think about it apart from there's going to be some harem scarum, and the babies are going to be more than we think they are, like Rachel says, and then that's the end of the episode. There's episode 1 gone. Okay, then, let's talk about the next one. Devil's Cord. There's nobody, because it feels like Marmite to me, nobody seems to be neutral on Devil's Cord. Nobody I've ever met. And I was talking to a whole load of them at Dwas. So let me just get myself set up. Okay, so good old.
This isn't filling me with confidence. Every time I watch, every time it's not filling me with confidence. I like reading that little article there about the Space Babies episode. It's like, just tell me it's going to be good. Don't tell me just tell me it's going to be good, and I'll give it a go. I had nothing to say there because I'm just deflated to pieces. I'm just like, oh, sorry, go on, yeah.
No, it's all right. I'm trying to find positivity in it, though. I mean, Space Babies, we haven't been told it's the most amazing thing. I mean, Lone Dalek saw it and said that it's great. Right, Devil's Cord. The Doctor and Ruby meet the Beatles. Well, yes, we know that. But discover that the all-powerful Maestro is changing history. London becomes a battleground with the future of humanity at stake. That's a different plot. I've not heard that one before. And then, of course, you've got the Strictly Come Dancing cast and Shirley Ballas. And there's Johannes. They do a big dance sequence. There's the cast. Cilla Black's in it. Not Cilla Black, the real person. Sadly, she's passed. But Cilla Black, the character's in it. So you've got the Beatles and Cilla Black, who was friends with John Lennon particularly. And we've seen an awful lot of there's the actress playing Cilla Black. And then they released a few more pictures today. So I'll just run through a few and see what people are wanting to say at the same time. So go on, if anyone wants to join in, I'm just going to show
that piano. Oh my gosh, that piano photo. Is it the Doctor that's going to be summoning Maestro then?
Because, you know, in that trailer, Rachel, you know, the one where some people don't like the acting, because for a second she goes, you called. She looks as though she's coming from behind the piano, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
So,
is it a TARDIS?
I was just thinking that,
yes.
but I don't think that at the same time.
I have seen that, Sean. I have seen some people in Twitter thinking, is it... There's a discussion that RTD says, I'm resting the Master. And yes, Maestro, Master, people tried to make the link. But I kind of believe RTD that the Master was overused by Chibnall, just like the Daleks. Yeah. So he's going to reinvent his own Time Lord. And yeah, I think it's very possible that the Maestro is a bit more than we think. Sadly.
So of all that Chibnall run, the only negatives that Russell T Davies took were use the Master too much, use the Daleks too much, and yet the Timeless Children were like, "Oh, well done, mate. That was spot on." Like, what on earth? Like, what have you been watching?
Well done, well done. You really threw that into the works.
Yeah. God's sake!
Really got me talking about it.
Well, we are. Don't you worry, Sean. There's more to come, Sean, because we will be talking about that. There it is, RTD. Nobody noticed.
He has to love it though, doesn't he? Because his mate made it.
Well, RTD. I found it quite funny. I don't want to spoil a news item early, but the RTD did say in the interview that nobody really noticed the Timeless Children. I know he means the casual viewer, and you're going right. So don't go further into it. Anyway, I'll save that. Go on, Rachel.
When did they release these photographs? I've not seen them.
I thought it was today. I found these today. So
they've gone quite ham on them. You know, I mean, like released a lot.
Yes. If I'll show you the Maestro now, especially for anybody who's not seen them. So there's obviously a bit of Beatles. Yeah. There's obviously Shooty's Doctor talking to one of the Beatles. Now, we've seen this picture before, but I'm going to run you through all the Maestro ones. So let's see what your comments are.
Drag queen.
Yes.
I literally just like first thing that came to my mind.
It's the costume I can't stand and the heightened hairstyle. It seems Cruella de Vil. It seems pantomime.
Batman villain.
Yeah. There's the look. There's the piano. Go on, Cinnamon. I think I had his hand up then. Sorry, Cinnamon.
Is this
well, yeah, I was speaking. It seems like she's going to annoy me. Like, again, we've been over this before. Drag character. Is she going to be playing a drag character? Or isn't he? She seems like she'd be playing more of a supernatural character rather than a drag character. But is she going to be playing a character or herself? Is it going to be over the top? You know, I'm all for her being in it. If it's going to be good, it's good. I just. Again, from that, she's bald. It just seems she's going to get on my tits, to be honest. But I'll give it a go. Give her the benefit of the doubt, as everyone deserves. I mean, those eyebrows. I mean, I can't think of that character with a ginger head.
Cinnamon. I'll cheer you up. Is that a pen? Is that a baton? Is that a Sonic?
Steady on. Hey, Rachel, don't say a word. Do not say a word.
I'll mute myself.
It looks like it's a ballad. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will.
Well, I think there will be a lot of singing. I'm sure of that.
It's very Cruella de Vil. It's very, I've got a dungeon or whatever. It's get away from me.
A tuning.
Now here's a new one for you. If you haven't seen this, I'll go big screen.
Is that the costume? Very similar to what the what's his face? I can't even remember because it was bloody awful.
Toy maker.
Yeah. Is it what the toy maker wore when he was behind that big gun? Is that what he wore?
Like
very similar.
Red one though, wasn't it?
No,
it looks.
I think he wore a similar thing to this with those gold band things. But when he had the gun, he was wearing like a 1940s pilot outfit. But that costume looks better. What does everyone think? I think that looks better than the other one.
I quite like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about? And they're drumming away.
What's going on there?
That's the bit where you can see that. can you see that she bands hard, and then the musical notes drag Millie down the corridor.
I quite like the idea. I'm liking it.
Do you reckon
I'm thinking,
this
oh,
is
looks
the bit where
intriguing.
we saw Shooty running through the corridor? Maybe he's running after her, being dragged
Yes,
away.
it is. Yes, and there's her. We've seen this before. Her getting captured, or she's imprisoned in music, and then another new
Caught
shot.
music,
Look at
lost the
that.
trap. Are they
There you go.
green? It looks like the
Really
mask.
pushing her character, aren't they?
Yes,
Mm.
I'm starting to feel. I'm not saying Rani, but you know the idea that they wanted to be a repeat character. I'm getting the vibes that this is not a one-off.
Might not be.
It's just that why would you, if the character is only going to be in one episode of 40 odd minutes, why would you have about 3 or 4 costume changes within that? This character, I think, from these released photographs today, and my theory has changed, because to see so many different costume changes, this character is more than an episode's worth.
Well, maybe. I mean, we saw the toy maker shift multiple costumes, and Chewie's changing his costume every 10 seconds. But possibly, you could be onto something. But
well, it's all speculation, but I thought you needed to see those because you can see that. It's interesting what you said though about the costume, Sean, because if it's linked to the toy maker says there's the one who waits. Also, the legions are coming. And whether this is just one of the legions and whether there's a kind of template that they all look similar in some way, I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting, isn't it?
Well, they do look to have powers over the world. I know this is like some kind of alternative, but I'm not. I'm intrigued by it. I just hope it's good. It does. That looks quite dark. I'm looking forward to that. It looks, but as you said, it does look very. If it is one episode, it's going to be very, very. It looks very, very cramped. I mean, there's any 2-parters? I don't think there is there?
No,
is there any
just
other
the end.
parts?
I think
Just the end.
I think.
I mean, yeah, I'd imagine episode 7 will probably, lead on a big cliffhanger that probably won't live up to. But I'd imagine there'll be some big thing maybe leading into the finale.
Cinnamon. What was the name of that character? You know the girl who got turned into a pavement. You know that one with the observer.
Ursula.
I've got that vibe with that drum. Really, I know it's meant to be
Eddie for some reason. I don't know why when I first saw it for the first. I thought, is that an Eddie reaching out? But yeah, it's definitely Ursula vibes. Pointing out the pavement.
So I can think of a couple of reasons why this is being hyped up the way it is. It's because this is potentially the music episode. In actual fact, we probably know that it is going to be the music episode because Jinx sings. And Shooty sings, and we know that RTD wanted something like a Buffy musical type of episode, and we've got Beatles in it, we've got Scylla, so obviously they're all singers. Another thing is obviously it could be something to do with the fact that Jinx is in it, and so there's obviously things to do with her RuPaul winning and whatever, and there's things like that, so they have to promote it because of that. There could be that. And also one of our wonderful twerkles had a beetle had a bit of a meltdown on what was it, TikTok. And so this could also be a bit more of a hype because that was quite a strong reaction. So
Howard,
could be that as well. Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw that, but it was quite something. It certainly grabbed some attention, that's for sure. And but not for the right reasons, I don't think.
I mean, come on. I mean, how does it not look?
Well, it was certainly controversial anyway. Let's put it like that. But yeah, the Devil's Cord is the one that I'm looking forward to the most and the least.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at the dialogue from the trailer, and I don't have a home, I don't have a people. It has that kind of semblance of the end of the world, when he talks to her over eating chips, and he talks about, Chris Eccleston's character, and there's all that element. Obviously, everybody is either concerned or intrigued as to who or what the maestro is. That's the big thing. And whether Doctor Who can actually carry a musical episode. Can it? And hopefully it can be creative if it's going to do it, please.
I will be watching this one with apt attention because I know I'm definitely going to be asked some questions about this. Not just on here, but elsewhere as well. I can sense it. It's like, so, what do you think? Can she act? Does it work? Yeah, I'm here to answer those questions. I'm really looking forward to it in that sense. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's all that. You've got June Hudson, who obviously it was the season 18 Tom Baker costume, wasn't it? As well as everything. She did the Leisure Hive and all the rest of it. There's June Hudson. She's in it, in a cameo, I think. And
I think Murray Gold's going to have a cameo as well, isn't he? I think I've heard some.
Yes, he has. Yeah. He has Cinnamon, yes. And of course, you've got the Pyramids of Mars kind of scene, haven't you? When the Doctor shows London destroyed. And so this is also Devil's Cord. And so I'm just thinking this episode sounds epic for 45 minutes. The end of the world, she's captured. You've got the Beatles and Cilla Black. You've got this big dance sequence needed. And some have speculated that this is from that, but I'm not sure about that. He's got a leather jacket there, so I'll leave that alone for now. But I'm fascinated by this, that we're going to get the Pyramids of Mars again, aren't we? We have to go back and deal with the maestro because she's destroying the world, that kind of thing. And to save the world, we have to do a Beatles parody number. I think that's kind of the answer, is it? So
possibly,
there
like
you go.
I said before, it'll be like the Toymaker thing. It'll be like some sort of competition where you have to beat her in a music competition, or put in such a big performance that it drains her power, or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even the posters have them dancing, don't they? I mean, so the whole thing seems to be that looks as though it's a performance for a cabaret.
Or like I should say, like in Shakespeare Code, where they're putting like the improvise and putting a play, and I name you Carrie Knight and whatever, and defeat them at their own game, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's musical again. Whether Jinx Monsoon's character just uses instruments to capture you, I do not know. But there you go. That's got us all kind of salivating or fearing or having nightmares before next Saturday or whenever you're going to watch it. Jeremy?
Who are they making this for?
You.
It's winning me over every second.
It'll either be a classic episode or it'll be an absolute turkey.
That's the Marmite bit I was thinking, really.
You're either going to love it or hate it.
I know. My concern is, right, I've changed my opinion so many times on why they've done 2 episodes. You know, is it the streaming thing? Is it this? Is it that? But of course, as Melanie Weston was saying, it is Eurovision night. And whether somebody in marketing thought, do you know, you've got a musical episode, wouldn't it be fantastic if the musical fans, if you can you say musical fans and Eurovision? Or is that...
music tonight, yeah. But then why didn't they push it forward a week then? Why didn't they have the Space Babies
May the 4th? It'd be Cinnamon, it was May the 4th.
Yeah, because the music one on the night.
Yeah, because May the 4th, they don't want to clash with Star Wars Saturday, which was...
whatever, get a grip. It's...
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought there was something going on in America, which is why it didn't go out that way, but I couldn't think what it was. You called...
Yeah, so there you go. So I think Melanie might be right that they've thought, actually, you've got a Doctor Who musical episode. Why doesn't that just seamlessly blur into Eurovision? A lot of Eurovision watchers, they've got a big gay audience. It's high camp anyway. Why don't we show our big high camp Doctor Who episode before it and win some people over? Is that the theory, maybe?
Well, Mark, here's the question. Will more people watch Eurovision than Doctor Who? And if so, oh dear me.
I'd imagine
I think they're getting
it around the world, isn't it?
It
Oh no,
is.
Eurovision. Oh yeah, I'm not slating Eurovision at all. I'm just saying, like, I reckon most people will turn off. They won't stay to watch Doctor Who. That was the problem they were getting when Doctor Who was following. Did it follow Strictly a couple of times? Or am I
Yeah.
getting mixed
Yeah.
up? And
Yep.
Strictly was getting millions. Strictly's one of the biggest shows on television, so we clearly love a bit of camp. And then Doctor Who was getting nothing. So that theory, not your theory, Brendan, but if that is the way they're thinking, which I can kind of get my head around a bit, I mean, that's the big thing. Can they retain an audience? Can they get an audience back? Because if the specials and the Christmas one are anything to go by, no. Not here
Right.
anyway.
Well, I can see. I'm trying my best. I can't get the excitement from some of you. So why don't I try this one then? Because we're talking about the season. So what about this then? Who is Mrs. Flood? I am intrigued about Mrs. Flood. Anita Dobson is no mug. She won't just be in it to do daft cameos. So we saw her turn on a sixpence, didn't we? We saw her anger with one of the neighbours. And we saw that breaking the fourth wall at the end of the, was it the Giggle or Church and Ruby? I get mixed up. But yes, the Church and Ruby Road, wasn't it? Look at that face. Oh, she has to be evil, surely.
Look at the eyes.
Well, yeah.
That's a very scowling face. There's a lot of judgment in that face.
Woman can act. She's good. I like Anita Dobson.
Yeah.
And
Is it a
Go
Am I the only person that doesn't like this character? Because it just,
I just don't.
it doesn't do anything for me at all. It doesn't convey any interest at all. I'm not even intrigued about this character. I don't
The
know
only
why.
thing I didn't like was breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, I thought that was terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come on then, you're all hiding, you're all little cowards here. Come on, who is this character?
Rani.
Ruby Rose, Ruby, Sunday.
Older
Sorry.
Ruby. Yeah.
Ruby,
Yeah.
Rani, what? Anything else? Susan?
Yeah.
Susan.
not going that way. That's too obvious. It can't be.
Would Susan have that much hate?
Well, she was left behind. She had no choice.
Well, John's saying it's Susan. You'll never come back for me, grandfather.
Well, yeah, there's that. But why is she angry with the neighbour, John? Because she got such... I can imagine her being angry with the doctor if it's Susan, because he did just dump her in a century where she's got advanced intelligence and she's dumped on what would feel like prehistoric Earth, so to speak, wouldn't she, after the Dalek invasion? So I can understand if you bring Susan back that she really... I mean, remember Sarah Jane Smith in School Reunion really took on the doctor. You know, you dumped me in the wrong place. And can you imagine Susan going, you left me with that fella. I didn't fancy him that much. You know, David. You know?
But then wouldn't you got to recognise her then? Because, you know, that's the whole thing. You would surely recognise her. And
well, would
like,
he?
it's a character that...
Yeah, Time
yeah.
Lords can recognise each other. Can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like Freemasons, aren't they?
Yeah.
Unless she knows him, but then he... I don't know. I think it possibly could be an older version of Ruby, but then I don't know, the name change as well. Yeah, I don't know.
Knowing Russell T Davies, it's probably Rose Tyler. Who knows?
Yeah, because he's obsessed with bringing her back, isn't he?
Yeah, she's seen the 14th Doctor and thought, "Well, my Doctor's looking a bit older. I'll give that a go." I don't know.
The snag is, he's a funny one, RTD. In interviews, he's kind of said that he's invented this character and he's kind of well, he doesn't say the words, I'm making it up as I go along, but there is a cleverness sometimes. Writers do sometimes sow a seed and as it goes, they evolve it. So that's fair enough. And I got the impression he was saying he doesn't quite know what she's going to be yet, but he wants her in it. Or whether he's just tricking us. So why is she watching? I have to say, can I just say something? Is she the one who waits? Look at her.
Maybe.
She could be the one that's maybe behind everything. You know, harder to help this, you know, or harmless, or you know, a little old lady, maybe a little bit too, bit of a busybody. You know, she's sparring and watching on what everyone does. But yeah, and it's it's coincidence that she's next to, you know, when they were talking about coincidence in the first episode.
Yeah.
You know, or what coincidence that she just so happened to live next to Ruby, and she just so happened to know what a TARDIS is.
I just don't like this coincidence stuff. I just think I just think it comes for laziness, don't you? I just think saying, "Oh, coincidence." It's like, you watch TV or films, and someone just so happens to be there at the exact right moment to save somebody, and you think that's a bit contrived. I have an awful feeling that this. I hope I'm wrong again, but I think this whole coincidence thing. It's like it's so like it's so wish-washy. I'm just like, really, that's the explanation for it. Like I'm not. I don't.
You see, the thing is, Sean, I was actually more intrigued by that one little scene at the end with her than the whole of the church on Ruby Road, because that just got a bit more Doctor Who for me. I just thought, who is this character? And Anita Dobson's a good actress, so I thought, right, okay. And she wouldn't sign up to just be a busybody who sits on a chair.
No, she wouldn't.
And it was the post-credit scene as well, wasn't it? They made a big deal about, that they put the credits on and halfway through the credits, and that this little extra scene was there, instead of having it beforehand. So they made a bit of a hullabaloo about, a bit of a bigger deal about that, which I thought was interesting.
And it was only today, and it was, sorry, Sean, it was only today when I got all these photographs together again. I thought, do you know what? It could be sat in front of our very nose. She is the one who waits. So she will bide her time for 2 or 3 series, and then bang. Oh, I'd like that. Dead. All right, now, Susan Twist. She's been in loads. Who is Susan Twist's character? Away then.
I don't know.
I thought that was Kate Stewart there for a minute when I first.
Yeah.
It's been. I'm not going to say it.
I do like. I will say though, just a small thing. I do like that they're keeping on this little tradition of like.
Hang on, no. Is that
when he goes, oh, not when she goes, Doctor Who, and no, just the Doctor, which is something the Doctor would say. No, it's the Doctor. I like that. I will say that.
Is that an older version of Jinx Monsoon? Because look at the eyebrows. Genuinely, look at the height of those eyebrows. Is that like an older version of Jinx Monsoon, or they've morphed? I mean, look at those eyebrows. They look very similar to Jinx Monsoon's.
I think.
I just read that comment.
Seriously, look at it.
So
Poor Susan Twist. I'm not sure if that's Sean, you should start your own show on great chat up lines. Your eyebrows.
Character.
Yeah, you look like a drag queen. Yeah.
I mean, the guy behind couldn't look more bored, could he? I mean, he really looks like he doesn't want to do that.
I don't know. Well, who knows?
So, sorry, God, I'm trying to get you excited.
Look at his eyebrows. Go back. Look at his eyebrows. They're like Des Lynam's. Look at them buttes. Go back to his
eyebrows.
Oh, they're great. Them.
Now,
yeah, they're dead thick. You look great. Sorry, go on.
Now I've got another question. Don't look at her eyebrows, Sean. That's not the score. Look behind her.
She shaved one of them.
Exactly. But look behind her. Come on, who's that?
Kate Stewart.
I remember when we did this.
Yeah, that looks a bit. Well, it could be Kate. Oh, well, is it Kate Stewart or Mrs. Flood? I think
is it Mrs. Flood?
The silence. I don't know.
I'm sure I've seen in the trailer that I thought it was Kate Stewart. I thought I had that confirmed, but now that I'm just throwing it out there, could that be Mrs. Flood? I mean, it looks like an older woman.
I know. Dada Debasa, higher again. I said in one of my streams with Rachel and many on the panel here, I did actually talk about, I thought it was Leela for a second after seeing season 15 trailer. I know, Margie, wouldn't you love Louise Jameson back? Oh, sorry, John, you're right. It's Theresa May. She's been through a cornfield. Yep, I get it. Yep, it's definitely
more stunt casting. Oh man, gonna get a bit of dancing going on if it was Theresa May.
So Timescales is literally sitting on the fence like the Watcher did almost. No, so the Watcher and/or Leela. Go on, Sean. What were you going to say?
I mean, am I the only one who's looking at the angle of that tree? Like the fact that is it very windy? Is it the Lion King? What's going on here?
I think it's near the North Sea, definitely. No, it's oh yeah, Retro Doc, you're worth your money, I tell you.
The Mars, like on a Richter or something, out of the fields.
There's a tree like that in my garden.
But that person is either grey-haired or blonde.
They've got eyebrows.
We know that
Sorry.
Louise Jameson is grey-haired now, and
Yes.
Kate is blonde, isn't she? So Gemma Redgrave.
Yeah.
There we go. There's her
Yeah.
name. So
You
maybe
could-
three, or a completely new character. We just could be barking up the wrong tree.
Aren't we lovely to all our actors in Doctor Who? We talk about their eyebrows, they've got grey hair, and they're looking haggard. And
I think Louise Jameson has great
I
hair.
do. I love
do.
Louise
It's
Jameson. Her
great
eyes.
head of hair.
Louise Jameson's eyes are fantastic.
I'm not being negative about the eyebrows. I'm just noticing them.
Sean, you are eyebrow obsessed. Honestly, I know you're going to go mad with me because I can't show you the eyebrows of this character. I know it's a problem for you.
You see, Sean, the thing is, now you've said that, I'm going to be looking for eyebrow acting just for your benefit.
Well,
Yeah,
See
look
who's
at
got
the
overactive eyebrows.
well, this season might raise a few eyebrows.
It certainly
Oh,
might.
yeah.
Nice, nice.
Oh, you see, he's doing segues for us now. Honestly.
Pure
I'm
class.
looking. I'm after that Empire of Death. That sounds like Doctor Who to me. So, so there's our. I don't know if that was season hopes or dreads. There, I'm not quite sure. Right. We've got a few little news items. So let me just actually just start it off, if you don't mind. Okay, so let's bring everybody back in. So, the news. Oh, I love that. I love that. I haven't done that mistake for a while, so it's always nice to do a mistake. I like that. So here we go. I always, as a kid, did you like to make your own little TV shows with your tape deck and everything? And you end up doing all this sort of nonsense. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. I've got myself in position. That's that was the item 1 that we've already done. Right. Okay. Yes. Here we go. Here we go. The news headlines. I did promise the Timeless Children. I'm trying to get away from it. Last one there. I think the Timeless Children doesn't mean anything to anyone. To a lot of viewers, generally to a few outside the show. What does it mean, says RTD? Right, well, drop it then. Drop it. I mean, honestly, is he slagging off Chris Chibnall's low viewing figures because he says nobody cares? Tell you what, you don't want friends like him, do you? So let's have a look.
He's clearly admitted that it's not a big topic. You know, it's not exactly got the country talking, is it?
Exactly. So he obviously is granting that not many people have watched it. But what does it mean is the Doctor's an orphan. He was abandoned. He was adopted by the Time Lords. So you play for that in the emotions, and that's what he's going to go for in this series, he's saying. But if you're talking about a family with a world in which people adopt children or foster children or abandon children, then suddenly it begins to register with you. So that's our take on that. And that's going to have a lot of ammunition and fuel going forward, because it goes Millie as Ruby Sunday. She was abandoned and she's going to get on with blah, 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 blah. And I could go on. And already I feel as though I'm losing the thread and people and the will to live. So there you go then. Are you happy about he's using the Timeless Children? Yay!
He's using it to make it relatable.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching Coronation Street in a couple of days. I mean, I thought I was getting Doctor Who, but you know,
Cora's all right if you can get into it.
I just don't get it. I just don't, because you could have this same thing around adoption and that kind of thing. You know, fine, no problem at all. Like Friends did it with Phoebe and sorry, not Phoebe. Phoebe did surrogate for her brother. Sorry, with Chandler and Monica, and so you could, fine, okay. But you could have had this by having an episode where the Doctor talks about I've got no home, my family have gone, my whole planet's gone. And the Earth adopted me, because I got that sense through a lot of the show that I New Who and a few of the older ones I've watched very much, well, New Who, sorry, that he very much said, you know, things like you look like Time Lords, and he had an affinity with Earth. You know, it is defended and all that. Oh God, I used to love Doctor Who. So I kind of, you could have told that, and it's like, honestly, like, there's so many contradictions here. It's like, oh well, I wasn't going to mention it. It doesn't mean anything, but I mentioned it. Honestly, he spoke about that more in the Blue Yonder or whatever the bloody hell it was, and you just think, I don't get what you talking about it for. Like, oh, I don't know.
As Rachel's saying, maybe
If nobody knows the storyline, then why do it?
But RTD, I have granted he does sometimes have a deft touch, and whether he's actually using the Timeless Children to get something out of it that he can actually make more, as you said, Rachel, relatable. I mean, are you buying that one, Rachel?
Well, no. I think if you would like to go for relatable, your best tool is actually the companion in some respects with regards to that. The Doctor is supposed to be a hero, and like giving him that additional angst which you seem to wanted to get rid of, is it necessary? I don't know. I don't know what I think. I'm very torn on it.
Yeah, I mean, Timeless Children is not going away, and I know when RTD was coming back, we all thought, oh, please, you're a clever writer, you can get rid of this so easily, or forget the half-human, half-Time Lord thing from the 1996 movie. That was forgotten quite quickly, but no, he's going to use it, which worries me, and which goes back to, Rachel, what you said ages ago, which is, God, if we'd rested it. Yeah. None of this would have been set up and entrenched. So, next item then, let's see if this grabs you. I've been mentioning this a while because you all want to mention Boom. Russell Davies says fans will talk about Stephen Moffat's new episode for years.
They still talk about Link.
For the right reasons, I hope.
For the right reasons.
Yeah.
So, he says
he can't wait. The Doctor had one part all along.
He can't wait for people to see the episode. It's amazing. People will be talking about it for years to come. And Moffat himself called the concept for the episode dynamite, but that's a word pun, isn't it? And he says, I mean, in the synopsis we've got, and I think a lot of Doctor Who fans have guessed this is the Doctor Light episode. At the very start, the Doctor stands on a landmine and can't move for the entire episode. That is absolutely a masterpiece piece of performance from shooting.
Sorry, I can't take this. I'm sorry. I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. The Doctor stands in a big tub of custard and he can't move. I'm sorry. I can't take it seriously. Sorry. I can't. Is it serious? Oh, I can't do it. I'm sorry. If it's that dynamite, Moffat, why didn't you do it during your run? Because it was
so it's essentially up to the companion then to solve the puzzle for the story.
But I quite like this. In fairness, I didn't know this until you just read it out, and that this actually really intrigues me, because this reminds me of a sort of similar. I mean, it's not linked, but there's that kind of idea he had where he saw like these crazy little ideas that Moffat would have, like, oh yeah, the Doctor's stuck in 1969, and he needs some random girl to save him, and it kind of gives me an element of this where he's stuck on a landmine. How is he going to get out of it? He can't do it himself. So this I'm getting like vibes from that, and that makes me happy because I'm getting like this.
So is it like the Doctor is quite bottled? The Doctor's going to be quite bottled, but Ruby isn't going to be bottled. So yeah, that will be interesting in that sense to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, as an actress, Rachel, to me, I get this. I mean, I'd love to be a writer one day. Maybe not for Doctor Who, of course, but I like that. This sounds like a drama. This sounds like there's a dramatic moment that one character is hits a complication, and then I can see it creates. It's a simplicity, isn't it? It's a dramatic simplicity.
It grabs my attention. The synopsis of the other two episodes. Oh, the Doctor goes to a spaceship and there's a baby farming run by a baby. That doesn't jump out at me. I think I discussed this with Noel, and the synopsis didn't really grab me.
Well, this does.
I want to see what this is. I want to see what this is like now.
One of the best ways of starting a play is starting a play in the middle of a conversation. So people are like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What are they talking about? This is going to be sort of similar to that. Ncuti is going to, would have had one heck of a job here in order to pull that off, because that's incredibly difficult, being in that one place.
Yeah.
Theoretically, and like being able to portray that fear and like react off of each other, because obviously acting is reacting to each other. So it's going to be interesting to see. And is it just those two for that episode?
No. I mean, I've seen. I don't think I've got the photographs here, but it looks as though he stands on the mine, and it's a big establishing shot, and it looks as though it's in a kind of a dip, and she's running around, and she's got a gun and everything.
Yeah, I think there's other soldiers and stuff, and he says, doesn't he? "Oh, I will shatter this little battlefield into dust," and I can't imagine he'd be saying that to Ruby.
And that natural reality. If you think about it, this is a potential threat to the Doctor. So what Stephen Moffat is introducing is a possible chance that like the Doctor really could die in this situation, and there is no chance of, I was going to say regeneration, but they got that stupid bi-generation, whatever you call it, thing now, which shouldn't be a thing. But there you go. But it is introducing a threat.
I'd like to join. I hate to sound as I'm interrupting, but because I'm not, I'm trying to join with what people are saying. Rachel, what you were saying then about, because why would this be the story that fans talk about for years? Now, I know he does hyperbole, but there's something there that RTD knows fans will like. So what you were saying, Rachel, about he faces a kind of death that he's never faced before, but then you mentioned bi-generation. But have you seen the trailer where behind Shooty in space in the TARDIS is the memory TARDIS?
Oh, I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, I tried to get the photograph today, but it doesn't matter because I think a lot of people have seen it. Behind Shooty, and he's kind of screaming into space, is the memory TARDIS. Now, does that mean he's dead and he's gone and he's now a memory, like all the other Doctors?
Which trailer was it? My brain is gone.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen that one. I know what you're about.
It's in the normal trailer. They've done what they did before. When we saw the power of the Doctor, and then they showed a quick snippet of what was to come, and we saw Shooty saying, "Oh, so can someone tell me what the hell is going on here?" There was all clouds in the background, and of course, as we later saw, that wasn't the real background. It was sort of superimposed to hide spoilers. Obviously, the real background was the unit sort of tower thing. So I think what they did, they had Shooty sort of screaming, and it had his own TARDIS. It was his own TARDIS in the background. Then we've seen that very same scene again with him screaming into the void, and it has the Tales from the TARDIS set in the background instead of his own TARDIS, which was in the other one, which I think is what Brendan's saying, isn't it? So whatever, he's obviously seeing something, a possible future, maybe. Maybe about him or maybe about Ruby.
I think I know what you're talking about now. I've seen so many things. I don't know what I'm seeing and what I haven't seen anymore.
So then you think there's, I mean, I don't know if you call it genius, but RTD likes to join things together. And I was a bit funny about these Tales of the TARDIS. I wasn't quite sure. I know it's a neat trick to bring the Doctors back, but it links with bi-generation and all that nonsense. However, they deliberately, as Cinnamon said, showed you the memory TARDIS inside. They're not stupid. So is that a clever trick to say the Shooty Doctor, the 15th Doctor, sees his own death, as you said, Rachel, and therefore he's been put into the memory TARDIS?
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, that would be interesting because
Ray's talking for the right reasons, that's for sure.
Because the Jodie Whittaker Doctor in The Power of the Doctor, she got to the point where she nearly died. She was on the brink and then she came back. But we've never seen the Doctor dead.
No, we haven't. No. Really.
So I'm fascinated. And look, if I'm fascinated and people are really intrigued by it, maybe that's what RTD means by it'll have us talking for years.
Yeah,
but
because
this is the same
threat that we haven't seen for a while.
But he made a lot of.
Sorry, Sean.
He made a. No, sorry, I interrupted first. Sorry. But this is the same RTD that made so many claims about the Wild Blue Yonder over, and I think somebody in the chat mentioned, but I was thinking to myself, he said so many times that the Wild Blue Yonder was so different and so out there and so frightening and so this and so that. And I watched it and it came across like a very kind of like tepid version of Midnight. It was really, really exactly. So I just think really like, I just, all the fans will love this. Well, does he know what the fans want anymore? Because Off the 2 episodes we've got, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes we've had, I don't see it personally, but I'm intrigued.
It's an alien crater. We're in space. An alien landmine. Hey.
Yeah, well, we're off Earth, so hopefully no Earth issues on this one.
Yes, and as you said, Cinnamon, I made a big play that it was Sutek coming back because of that quote you mentioned. I will shatter this silly little battlefield into dust, in a heartbeat, into dust. Very like Sutek said to the 4th Doctor when he said, "You're a mate, and all that stuff." The thing I'm thinking now is that quote from this episode? Because this is early doors.
Yeah, because he's got the leather jacket on, isn't he? And I think, or something to that effect. Yeah.
And there's a lot of dust in a lot of the clips. I know. I am intrigued. I am intrigued. And we know one thing about Stephen Moffat. He knows how to do timey-wimey. And if he's got a memory TARDIS in there, and I'm saying it may be a different episode, but I'm linking with what Rachel said, that this could link together very easily.
I'm even more excited for this episode than I was before we started the stream, because Stephen
I should work for PR. I should work for marketing.
You should get a raise. Seriously though, Stephen Moffat under Russell is a different beast. I mean, we got episodes like Midnight. We got episodes like The Edge Child and of course Blink.
The Doctor Dances.
The Doctor Dances. We've got Blink. The Library 2-parter. Really solid, memorable stories. And again, this reminds me of a Blink of that kind of formula of something's happened to the Doctor. It seems like this is one of his great ideas. And when he's not necessarily running his own show and running his own story arcs, when he's doing one-off episodes like this, I think this is really one of Moffat's strengths. So hopefully we can get another one of them.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Because you said earlier about how it's a good showcase for Shooty to really show us what he's got. Because if he's stuck in one position, although it maybe he'll be in and out, if he's stuck in one position mainly, then he's really going to have to show us everything he's got in acting terms. And for me, although on one hand, if that was Tennant or Eccleston or Smith or Capaldi or the older Doctors, I'd be thinking, oh yeah, that or Captain Jack, oh that'd be good. With Shooty, I'm thinking,
he's vulnerable, isn't he?
He's
sure. Vulnerable.
Yeah, but can he play it nuanced? Can he play it smaller? Can he play it calmer, darker, without without kind of that flamboyant edge to it, or that kind of hyperactivity, or like overactivity that we've kind of seen running over rooftops? I don't know.
Well, a good writer.
One of the reasons why that they have got him in one place to get him to do that. That's often an acting challenge. That was one of my challenges when I was doing my training, because I'm like, oh yeah. But they were like, right, let's get you to bring it in. And they would do things like that to me. I think one time they tied me to a chair and put a blindfold on me.
Right, we're learning. So that's what you do.
I hope he smashes it. I hope he smashes it.
He's played dark in Sex Education when he went through. Sorry, Brendan, but he went through a very traumatizing incident in the first season, and he
yeah.
I think he can pull it off.
And I did say in one of our streams, they've all blurred together. I was just saying to Doug Sims, hi, welcome. This is our 50th show, so allow me to be kind of confused which stream it was. But I remember saying to Rachel that one of my favourite moments of Shooty so far was actually in the TARDIS with David Tennant, and he slowed down.
Yeah.
And once he was slowed down by the dialogue, I thought you had a more charismatic, powerful Doctor suddenly. And then he suddenly ran quickly with a sledgehammer and made another TARDIS. I actually really could see the promise of the Doctor when he talks slowly. And hopefully this delivers that.
I mean, also it'll give Millie Gibson something to do as well.
Yeah.
More of a part. Yeah. Like in it, more dialogue.
She was holding a gun, wasn't she? Didn't have a problem with that, Russell, did you?
Well, yeah.
Women with guns, now I'm loud.
Yeah. I think you're right, Jeremy. Sorry.
No, don't worry. I'm just aware of... Right, so next news item. We auditioned men, women, black, white, non-binary actors and actors. Now, I want to show you what the bit in kind of red, because I discussed it in my saloon last week, but I'd like to hear what the panel thinks. This is where RTD says basically he's untouchable. It's very hard for anyone to stop me doing these things. You'd have to be a pretty brave executive to say, don't go there to me. I'm sure there are people thinking that, but I wouldn't work with them, would I? I mean, wow. Where's the checks and balances?
Yeah.
That's me out of the job then.
Because
Because I would question it.
It comes across as it's my way or the highway. I mean, what's he expecting? Is everyone going to be? What's he expecting here? Does everyone read that and go, "Oh yeah, well done, Russell"? That just comes off as like you've been a knob. I'm sorry, but it does. It comes off as it's my way.
Cinnamon, it explains the Davros thing. You know, when that poor person wrote to him and he said tough. It explains that because he's going. Sorry,
I know that person as well.
Yeah, I don't care what your opinion is. Yeah, nobody can sack me. Nobody's going to stop me. I'm sorry, but these are out of his mouth. Some people say I stir it up and I take things out of context. Excuse me. Take a look at the screen. That is a direct.
Yeah, clear as day. I mean, you can't look at that any other way, can you?
Yeah, you're talking about that. We're not talking about this. We just want a good show. You're bringing this up.
We're not
but I'll tell you what.
Here, are we?
No, overconfidence though. Overconfidence, dear me. Because if this falls down, I'll just think I don't want it to. But I mean, thank God he isn't my boss. I'll tell you that, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm a little bit opinionated.
And you know what? You look at that quote and you look at those words in text in red, and then that explains why everyone that is being cast, everyone that is being everyone that's said to be working on the production team, every writer, they're all in the same clique, aren't they? We've discussed this. They're all mates. They're all in the same like-minded beat. They haven't got apart from the only person who's really gone, in a different direction, it is, like we said, Moffat, who said that society shouldn't reflect, or Doctor Who shouldn't reflect society. That's the only one that's and obviously you probably can't get rid of him because that's his mate. But if this is anybody else, everyone else is all together. Everyone else has all got the same hive mind, and that basically explains that to me.
It's what you need, though, isn't it? You need some. There's nothing worse. You look at history, and I'm not grandiose in it, but than people who think they can never be wrong. That is not a good path. You need somebody to kind of pull you back in. Brendan does it to me with this in a good way, to say, hang on a minute, what about this, and this? You need someone to do that with you.
On a previous stream when we were talking about producers versus showrunners, and I was saying, sometimes it's good to have someone to hold your feet to the fire kind of thing, to keep you in check. Not to say don't do that, but just someone to sort of like question, oh, will this work though? Or will that work? Or how does this work?
Devil's advocate,
to keep you in check with yourself. Going around saying, this is mine. Don't forget everyone else in this panel. This is my show now. Sorry, Brendan, I'm taking over. It's my way. It just comes arrogant. I'm sorry.
The BBC would never have allowed...
Your way of balancing, isn't it?
The BBC would never have allowed a producer like that to have said that back in the 1970s or even in the 80s. They just wouldn't have allowed it. And, he would have been gone. Russell T Davies would have been gone out the door.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what job where your boss has checks and balances on them. Some things are done by committee. You have to consult the old-fashioned way the BBC was run with the departments. In politics, our American viewers know that you've got Congress, you've got checks and balances. Who has absolute power? Which is why I did, as some will have seen on my Twitter feed, I did have the Court of King Russell, because wow, that's absolute power. That's Louis XIV. My God. Yeah, exactly, Sean. It does corrupt. It's one of those things. Now, just to kind of just tidy things up as we're about to finish. We did mention this earlier. He has got. He's working now. At the National Theatre in The Importance of Being Earnest, and there we go. And I'm sure it said in May he's starting. So yes, he's in his kind of sabbaticals from Doctor Who now, but he said in between, so everybody's read into he will be coming back. The only thing I've highlighted, he's done a lot about white mediocrity and black people needing to be flawless in the media, and I'm thinking, you've done quite well graduating from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, Dundee Rep. Then he did King Charles's coronation concert when he did the Romeo and Juliet scene. Then he's been in Midsummer Night's Dream. Then he's been in The Rivals at the Watermill. I mean, then he's been
He's
in
on
Sex
every
Education.
modelling magazine, Rolling Stone, to
Yeah, I
Kingdom
mean,
Come. He's living it up in New York, or going on these fancy business trips, which I suppose it is. But he's having, he's getting to go to all these fancy places. It's, it gets a very. And in fairness to him, I think he has spoken about, he has recognised his own privilege to a point, which very kind of contradicts, because with Mum Andy saying, "Oh, I have to wear my ass off to get even a slither of the recognition of what a white actor does." But again, sorry, Shoot, but you've received nothing but praise and validation, I think, from a large majority of fans since you've came to support.
And this is not to knock him. I'm just always find it a little bit I'm incredulous when I hear people saying this when they've done so well. Barbie performing at the Oscars. I'm happy for him. He's doing well. It's just I don't know why we've had all this stuff about others. I just don't get it. So that was our Doctor Who Eve show. I feel like Sean a bit. I feel a bit down. I want K9 back. Oh God, can we have K9? Here we go.
I feel like we've just got into it. I want to keep going.
Well, obviously next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. it will be Space Babies. Bring your nappies. I don't know. Bring your baby talc. Bring your timeless children, and then of course.
Jelly babies.
Yeah, you eat the head first, don't you? And then Monday night, 7 p.m, it'll be Devil's Cord. And we've got a rota system. We'll all be talking about who's doing what. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the stream. In the thread. I sometimes say in the margin. My English is off the scale. Anyway, thank you. See you again, everyone.
Bye.
Congratulations on 50.
Subscribe.
Bye.
Yes. Well done, Brendan.